across the UK. On DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Well, this is the Late Show with Andre Walker and Asher Gould. And do you know what we're going to do before we do anything else? The big controversy this week has been about Ryland Clark. Why don't we just watch the clip from ITV and then we can talk about what we think of it?
I'll be honest, that is a major worry now. Taking politics out of this, let's just look at the country here.
Yeah.
This country is built on immigration. Legal immigration.
I told you to use the Betamax, not the VHS. Just give it a couple of taps, turn it off and on, and it'll be ready, won't it?
So Ryland Clark came out against...
He already came out years ago. He came out years ago.
Yeah. That's for the blooper reel. OK, so Ryland Clark
came out.
Is
he gay?
There's just no point now, is there? There's no point.
He basically came out and told the truth. We've got the clip ready now on the VHS. Roll VT.
I find it absolutely insane that all these people, one, are risking their lives coming across the channel like that they are. But two, when they get here, it does seem, and I think this is why a lot of Labour voters as well are now sitting there going, there's something wrong here. It seems, welcome, come on in. This is the narrative we're being fed. Here's the hotel. Here's the phones. Here's the iPad. Here's the NHS in reception of your hotel. Here's 3 meals a day. Here's a games room in the hotel. Have a lovely time and welcome. And then there's people that have lived here all their lives that are struggling. Yeah. They're homeless. Let's not even discuss our homeless. That people living on the streets, veterans, all of this. Yeah. Now, this isn't me getting on my soapbox because, let me be honest, everyone's going to have an opinion about this and you're going to upset someone some which way. I believe that something major needs to be done about this.
He didn't get the memo, did he?
Yeah, but I will say one thing. He did say something that grinds my gears when he says Britain was built on immigration. Let's just be clear. The Magna Carta wasn't drafted by somebody from Mozambique. The Palace of Westminster wasn't built by Somalians. The Westminster Abbey, all of these places, the Saxon law wasn't from somebody from Zambezi land.
But they did immigrate, didn't they? And William the Conqueror, they did all immigrate.
Well, yeah, but William...
illegally in William the Conqueror's case.
Yeah, but William the Conqueror was the cousin of the previous king, and the Normans were actually Vikings anyway.
It was 99% homogenous here till about 40, 50 years ago, wasn't it?
Absolutely. But to be fair, in defence of Ryland, God knows what will happen to him now at ITV.
Well, he's a proper working class guy, isn't he? Because I've seen him with his mother, and he's just speaking the truth. And they all knew he was speaking the truth because I've heard there was meetings and people saying, "Oh yeah," they're all nodding with him there. But then they all obviously have to pretend they don't really believe what he's saying because they're virtue signallers, and that's how they'll get on in their career. Although the Ovaltine window's shifting, isn't it, Andre?
There is when they say there is a perception, there isn't a perception. There is a fact that you will get better treatment in this country if you are a migrant to the country. I mean, if you look at it, the reality is you've just come back from Eastbourne. Now, OK, I don't know much about Eastbourne, but the south coast of England, if you look at places like Bournemouth, have been overrun by migrants. It is a bit like that.
I mean, not like Bournemouth, but, it is very similar.
Look, nobody in this country gets a free phone from the taxpayer as a member of the public unless you are an illegal migrant.
Well, they put them ahead of us, don't they? Because, I mean, that's official now today. In the Epping case, they're saying, well, the migrants, people illegal or legal migrants, you have to put them ahead of the local population. That's what they're appealing the court for in Epping, and hopefully the judge will come up with the right decision.
The great danger here is what was his name? This Dr. S. Chalani. He never seems to put his first name on any of his documents, but what he was saying was that if Nigel Farage wins the next election, they are going to say that the prohibition of torture in English common law extends across the world, and anybody anywhere in the world who believes that they are a victim of torture or fears they might become a victim of torture will have citizenship of the United Kingdom granted to them. That is what the political left are saying. They're saying that the courts will simply overrule Parliament if they decide that they're not going to go for this.
But they already do torture. I mean, that's what happened to Lucy Connolly, metaphorically. I mean, David Starkey made the point that in the 1600s, the highwaymen wouldn't plead guilty or not guilty so that their money would go to their family, and used to literally put weights on them. In the modern-day version of that is Lucy Connolly saying, well, if you don't don't plead guilty, you'll go on remand for a year. And so she pled guilty because she thought it was the expedient thing to do. And it's ridiculous, but it's just pressing in a metaphorical.
But we now have a group of people. I mean, we always accuse them of being this North London elite. I don't want to be critical. Loads of people in North London are wholly sensible, but we have these awful lawyers who have basically turned human rights on its head. So now they can find people to abuse the public. The government can subject us to all sorts of ill treatment, can remove our rights under the guise of human rights. The human right to free speech, which we had for 1,000 years, wiped away by the Human Rights Act.
Yeah, but I mean, the Human Rights Act, again, David Stark, he said originally it was for the individual versus the state, but they've turned it around against the majority, haven't they? The looking glass, they've cunningly turned it around and misinterpreted what it was there for.
Well, of course, the critical thing, and I've said this about the Afghan migrant scheme, what you have to remember about the Afghan migrant scheme is that what we have now done is Afghans in Afghanistan have asserted English common law rights and been given access to England as a result. Well, what happens in North Korea? What happens in China? What happens in every country in the world? I say that the Afghan resettlement scheme effectively gives the right of citizenship to anywhere in the world. Do you know what Nigel Farage should have said this week? What? He should have made a point when they were talking about people dying, when they were talking about women, when they were talking about children. He should have said something that we said in 1939. You cannot protect the world, you cannot save Europe, you cannot bring stabilising factors like democracy to the world without a strong United Kingdom. Do you know, the reason we didn't bomb Auschwitz is you've got to win first. Right? Yeah. That's the fundamental point.
Well, the same with Jersey and Guernsey, our own territory, that had a concentration camps on, and they murdered people. At Alderney, there's pits there. So we didn't even bomb our own country because we had to concentrate, well, Churchill did, on winning the war. That's
absolutely right. Right, Carol in Manchester is so irked about this, she thought she'd give us a call. Don't normally take calls at this time, Carol. But by the way, look, you are welcome to call 0344499 1000. Carol, go for it.
I'm absolutely on your side. May God, what I've just listened to before, right, absolutely fumes me. You know, like, whether at the end of the day, what we've got to do is, at the end of the day, like that bloke said, this country has to be strong to help other countries. At the moment, we are not strong. We are being hit left, right and centre with these kind of behaviours, right, with, migrants. I mean, when did we ever hear that? You know, like people coming over on boats, people coming over that, men coming over on boats. We have to, swear to God, we have to wake up.
Yeah, but we've got the state are against the nation. That's the thing. The state don't like us. The people in charge of us, they don't listen to us.
Can I just say this to everybody? Just sorry, Carol, we'll let you speak in a minute, but let me just say to you, so people are allowed to claim refugee status in the first country they come to, first safe country they come to, if there is war or genocide in their country. So here is the top 4 countries that claimed asylum last year. Pakistan, 10,542. Now, I can't tell you how many safe countries there are in between the UK and Pakistan, but what I will tell you is A, there's many, and B, there's no war in Pakistan. The next one is Afghanistan, 8508. Now, you can say there's an issue in Afghanistan, but this isn't the Afghan resettlement scheme. This is in addition to this. So there are no safe countries, apparently, between Britain and Afghanistan. Vietnam, 5,259. The war in Vietnam, I think, ended in about 1975, something like that.
The Americans legged it like they did in Afghanistan.
Absolutely. Now, here's the figure you all wanted to know. How many of the asylum claimants in 2024 were military-aged men? 70%, 70. Because, and I've said this before, we could set it to music, Asher. When there is a war, it's not the men who leave on their own, it's the women and children that leave, the men stay to fight. Yeah. If it's the men that have left on their own, I'm going to suggest to you, you're not fleeing a war.
You do say, and I do not believe it, the people that I live with, and it's not just me that I ring up on, I have a community, and we speak and we talk and we what you call it, and older people, and they don't get it. They do not get. How the hell can you have a boat, never mind a dinghy, a boat coming from France to England and not being looked upon or not being?
Hey, Carol, here is my favourite detail. Nigel Farage said it. Now, I know not all of you love Nigel Farage. Some of you are big Ben Habib supporters. By the way, we're big Ben Habib supporters here. And some of you like Nick Tanconi. But Nigel Farage said at Oxford Airport, and I actually checked, you're not going to believe this, we've paid 800 million to the French to stop the small boats. The French Coast Guard, the French Navy, escorts the boats to the 12-mile limit to the UK. They put life vests onto the migrants. When the migrants get to Dover, we take the life vests off and give them back to the French so they can give them to the next group of illegal immigrants the next day.
That because at the end of the day, and I'll go back to a few years regarding with Germany, right?
Yes.
And EU, what they did, they opened the bloody borders.
Angela Merkel.
The language. They opened the borders. Borders, right, were made, right, with cultures. And forget just countries. We all have different countries.
Yeah, but they don't believe that. They think we're all the same. They're ideologues, and that's what's happened, isn't it?
Just to be clear on something, so I don't know what happened to Madeleine McCann, but let's just be clear on something. There is a theory that a sex offender called Christian Bruckner kidnapped her and took her to Germany. Now, OK, I don't know whether that's true or not, but let me just tell you something. How secure is your country? Because if you wanted to, obviously nobody wants you to, but if you wanted to, you could kidnap somebody in Portugal and drive them to Germany without being stopped by anyone at all as a result of the Schengen Agreement.
Haven't they gone back on that now?
Well, they have. They've started to now.
With Europe, where we've made a problem with Europe, with the stupid, absolute plan regarding Europe. We're not against Europe. European people love each other. We're not against, but this bunch of idiots, right, that took over Europe had no sensibility, had no what you call it or anything, and that's why.
Well, I will tell you something. I will tell you something else, Carol. That I'm sorry, we have to say to our good friends in Germany. Our friends in Germany clearly are very sensitive about Nazi Germany and the Holocaust, and I understand that. And so what they've done is they've invited all these people into the country. Now, if they want to atone for their behaviour towards Jewish people, towards gay people, towards people from the traveller community, I'm afraid they've picked the wrong people to import, because anti-Semitic attacks and homophobic attacks are rising in Europe as a result of this tidal wave of immigration that the Germans have brought in.
And France has now got a curfew. It's bringing in curfews for teenagers. This is what it's resulting in.
OK,
she stopped.
Carol.
Quick, let's take the opportunity.
Carol, thank you so much. So what do we want to do? I'll tell you what we'll do. Why don't we tell you, as you know, this channel, this show supports the Women's Safety Initiative. Just to explain what the Women's Safety Initiative is, it's a group of very, very gifted and brave, no, patriotic, let's not say brave, patriotic young women.
They are brave.
Who have started to campaign against the idea that uncontrolled immigration is good for women, and it's run by Jess Gill and others. Now, Jess, you have had some problems this week, and we wanted to bring you on so you could update us on the way that you... Look, do you know what makes me laugh? She's come on the camera. Does that look like somebody's been rattled by the bullies this week?
No.
Or does it look like somebody who absolutely...
Look, you've changed your image, haven't you, Jess? What have you done? You've done something different. Yeah. Anyway...
Yeah, honestly, they can call us what we want. We don't care. We will still continue to advocate for victims and support the victims. Honestly, Andre and Ash, this week has been absolutely insane.
What happened then? Tell us.
So, first of all, The Observer did a hit piece on us, which was insane.
What did it say?
It said, the Women's Safety Initiative have been criticised for pushing back women's safety and women's rights. When they say criticised, they purposely found out some niche academic who is paid to promote leftist dribble and said that they're criticising us.
Sorry, hang on a second. How does the deportation of foreign sex offenders push back women's rights? Now, what you might say that you've behaved badly in advocating less immigration. You might say that you're right wing for not wanting to take in refugees, but pushing women's safety back by deporting sex offenders. No, what was the logic, Jess?
Well, they don't say it themselves. They just say it as if it's an obvious fact, when it's obviously not. And the majority of the British public actually agree with us, as we've done by a poll. 90%, almost 90% of the British public advocate for deporting sex criminals, and only 3% disagree. Why are we treating as if like these are balanced perspectives? The majority of the British public are on our side. So that was the first thing with the Observer. And then after that, because reform for Kent County Council, they hosted an event about women's safety and included us in it, and I'm very thankful for them. And it was a great event. They talked about domestic violence, about spiking. It was a range of issues. It wasn't just about immigration. And they gave us 10 minutes to speak about immigration, which was very nice of them. There were like 7 or 8 talks in total. We had 2 of them. So it wasn't just about immigration. It was about a range of issues. And we had protesters outside about that, calling us fascist, calling us racist. It was insane.
Yeah, but Goebbels, the Nazi propaganda minister, he always said, accuse your enemies of what you're guilty of. And then it's sort of confused. That's what they're doing.
Sorry, Jess, we've got to do this again with Asher, who I love to bits, and he's come back from holiday.
What's that, man?
Goebbels Nazi, Goebbels place in Glasgow.
Oh, is it? I thought it was the other way around.
Goebbels and Goebbels, right? The place in Glasgow. No, but it is a serious point. And can I just expand on what Asher said there? Sorry about that,
Please do.
Can I expand on that by saying that what they literally seem to be attacking you without coming back with any actual argument? Because I mean, look, if it was me, I would say what the people in the Bell Hotel have said, which is, my God, we were mortified when one of our number attacked a young girl. Obviously can't talk about it much, Jess, because it's in the courts at the moment. We were mortified. You can't judge us all by him. We are genuinely fleeing persecution. All those sorts of things. But to simply say the Women's Safety Initiative have got no point whatsoever.
It's like childish. That's how they do it, the left, isn't it? Just childish shouting, screaming, and then running away.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you this. During our speech, I believe she was some kind of like woman's councillor in the Labour Party. She stormed out during our speech when we were talking. Like, they couldn't even deal with like listening to us. It was insane. And during the Q&A, and this is the thing, if they had no questions, this segment would have been super short, and we could have moved on to the things that they think matter more than, you know, the biggest issue I would say in Britain of migrants, you know, systemically raping and grooming our women and girls. If they wanted to, they could have made that segment short and moved on. But they had so many questions, and they were all repeating the same thing. That's what I found really interesting.
Just to be clear, what were they repeating?
So they said, I want to get this right. So they said, why you focus on immigration? Because the majority of sex offenders in the UK are white British, which obviously they're not taking into consideration proportionality.
Right, sorry, just to be clear, I've said this before, and sorry to be repetitious again, this is the Philomena Kunk point, right? So what you said just then, Jess, is important, and I want the listeners and viewers to understand this about proportionality. But to illustrate it, we'll give the example that Philomena Kunk gave. Philomena Kunk said 40% of all road accidents in the UK are caused by people who are drunk, but 60% are caused by people who are not drunk. Therefore, it's safer to get in the car with the drunk person. Yeah. Right. Now, that is a point that what she's doing is misunderstanding proportionality. Yes, you are more likely to be the victim of sex crime from a British national, but I will say, in terms of the percentage of the population, the likelihood of you...
Well, I know Afghanistan is 22 times more likely, right. So that says it. But if you've got a low IQ, you won't get that, or if you're doing it for nefarious reasons,
I've got to be honest with you. What I like about the Philomena Kunk version of it is because everyone can understand what the point is there, can't they, about proportionality. I'll tell you what we'll do, Jess. Why don't we come back to you just in a couple of moments, because we haven't talked about absolutely everything you've been up to, because there's been some problems problems on social media as well. But everyone, before we do anything, let's go to your Twitter and all add it together, right?
All together in unison.
Right. Now, last week, your colleague got it wrong, right? So it is Women Safety _UK. That's where you get it. So whilst you're in the break, open up your phone or open up your computer, get onto X, because
I've already followed it.
All right, just pretend you haven't.
All right.
We'll be back with Jess Gill just straight after this.
I'll unfollow it.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Yes, this is Talk, and this is the Late Show with Andre Walker and Asher Gould, and we're with Jess Gill, who is the founder of the Women's Safety Initiative. So she has had some interesting things happen this week. Now, good news on Kent Council, and by the way, I think it is good that we've got county councils now that are taking the issue of women's safety seriously. You would expect that to start in Kent, but obviously it's only come about since Reform took control. Depressing, really, because the Conservatives should have been brilliant on the issue and just weren't. But anyway, tell us all about Instagram, Jess.
Yeah, and can I just say, it would have been so easy for the Reform Council just to cancel us because we're too controversial, even though, again, we're just saying what the majority of the people believe. They could have easily done that to withhold the backlash, and the press was hostile against them. Even though everyone stood up and clapped at the end of our speech, apparently we were the controversial ones for simply saying the statistics and saying what women in this country have been through. So I want to give them credit for that. So in terms of Instagram, and I'm not sure what caused it, we're back now, thank God. We've been growing our Instagram, and I think Instagram is so important as well because young people are on Instagram. Young women in particular have reached out to us on Instagram, and so it's really nice to see them there.
So what did Instagram say to you? Because I will give, in defence of a lot of these social media platforms, what can happen is they get lots and lots and lots of complaints that are false, right? And then when a human looks, so they take you down, and when a human looks at it, they go, yeah, that's not quite right. So it sounds like that's what's happened here. But what have Instagram actually said?
Yeah, so basically, I agree with you. I think what's happened is that because of the backlash we've received, these people, these miserable people have nothing better to do with their lives, are spam reporting us, and now it's not even a human reviewing it normally. They have an appeal process where the AI first blocks you, and then all I did, I couldn't like type in the situation, what's happened, because they had the account done for fraud and deception, which, you know, we're not frauding or deceiving anyone. It's so random. But because they found it, I guess. And the AI didn't pick that up. So what I did, I scanned my face on my phone, and within minutes it said, sorry, it's permanently deleted, and there's no way to appeal it.
What they said it was what, fraud and deception? I mean, this is libelous though. They can't have just an AI, you know, just deciding things like that.
Good point.
Yeah, and the examples of that was like pretending to be in a relationship with someone or pretending to be someone. It's like, no, that's nothing to do with us. It must have just been like a tech automatic thing. But anyway, we have the account back now, thank God.
Well, I'll tell you, I had a friend of mine who got banned from Instagram multiple times. I've said this before, and I spent a month researching why he kept being done for posting pornography onto his Instagram when he'd demonstrably not done that at all. And nobody had hacked into his account. And what they'd actually done, the little toe rags, is he had photos on his account. Now, people don't know that you can do this with AI, but you absolutely can. They cut out a photo of his face and obviously superimposed it onto some sort of pornographic picture, posted it to 10,000 accounts and complained about all 10,000 accounts automatically. So what you've now done is you've taught the AI that his face is pornography. So then they complain about his photo and the AI system automatically believes it's pornography, even though it's just a photo of him down the pub. Which is an amazing thought for how, because of course an AI is just a series of streams of data. So if 1,000 people say that Asher's face is in fact my face, AI will believe that.
Yeah, it is scary, and I think there's a point of big tech censorship as well being an issue, because at least with a human, like, they could obviously see that there was no fraud and deception going on, and the fact that there was no appeal process, like, I was panicking, and I genuinely think if we didn't raise awareness of it, our account would still be banned, and afterwards as well.
So what was it, a human, you raised awareness, and were they quick to sort it out and apologise or anything, and what did they explain how it happened?
Yeah, so we just gained access to our account back, like a couple of days after.
It just happened.
Because funnily enough, the friend I'm talking about, he got permanently deleted with no right to appeal, and then they accepted his appeal, which was all very odd.
What about the Freedom of Speech Union? Are you in touch with them about this sort of thing?
It seemed a bit of a weird one because, again, I don't even think it's politically motivated.
Yeah.
Because it was fraud and deception. It's like, well, obviously that's not true, but they're not saying we're done for like hate speech. But I guess they wouldn't anyway, would they? Because then, you know, it would be a free speech issue.
But the big problem is it's hard to create a system when you have these kind of almost like a denial of service attack. You know, if 50,000 lefties all start complaining about one post, right, actually, the best system in the world will start to struggle, won't it? But it's deliberately defrauding the system on their part.
But they've made it more sensitive, haven't they? Probably because of the online safety bill. It's really, you know, stifled a lot of social media, and it's probably something to do with that.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised. But yeah.
By the way, I've got to say to everyone, and there's a video about this on my YouTube. If you want to get there, it's Andre JP Walker. But I've got to say to you, I hope 4chan win in the US courts, because I'll tell you something. The idea that 4chan, a US company based in the US, owned by American people, should be regulated by Ofcom in the UK, also opens the door, quite legitimately, for Iran to turn around and say, we want UK internet companies to start doing what we say in Tehran.
Well, Apple and WhatsApp have already had the government U-turn because Trump and Vance got involved. And when the government told them, you know, you're going to have to give us this backdoor stuff and you're not allowed to tell anyone, you know what I mean? Really Stasi-like. But obviously with Vance and Trump and the risk of being sued, you know, for stifling American companies, they're backing down on it. But, you know, we're at that crucial point now. The EU are bringing in a similar online safety bill.
Well, I'll tell you what. Look, Jess, I know we promised you only a short period of time, but let's bring Jess back for a little bit longer, because I do want to talk to her just for 2 more minutes about what you think the future is going to hold for safety for women. Back in a moment.
across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Well, this week, of course, Purple Aki died, and I just want to
That's
tell
a
you...
wrestler, by the way.
At 11 o'clock. At 11 o'clock, I'm going to tell you about my run-in with him when I was 13, when I met the sex pest from the Northwest. The reason why I never wanted to tell it before is because he was notoriously litigious. He had people in court for all sorts. In fact, he even claimed that his nickname was racist, which was garbage. There was a rumour around the around the playgrounds of the Northwest that he used Indian ink. He would carve his name, Aki, into your bum and pour Indian ink on it, which is
tattoos,
the level of the rumours about him.
He was a British wrestler, was he?
He wasn't a British wrestler.
What was he?
He was a well-known sex pest who accosted thousands upon thousands of young men in the northwest of England.
Thought it was a picture of
anyway, no, sorry, the picture on my phone is of him accosting Hulk Hogan in heaven.
Well, right, I see.
Right. Okay, sorry. Jess Gill is still with us. Jess, just wanted to ask you, where do you think things are going to go with women's safety? Because I'll tell you something, Asher made this point a couple of weeks ago. I thought it was a good point.
Really?
When women are coming out protesting, you know that the government have got real problems.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the Women's Safety Initiative, we've spoken to the Pink Ladies, and hopefully we're going to have some collaboration with them in the future.
Who are they, sorry?
That was the girl gang in Greece.
Yeah, the Pink Ladies, they're basically the women wearing pink at the migrant
I see, yes.
My point was that, they always used to go, when the mothers come out in Russia, the president's in trouble. I always wondered why. And obviously they use the slur, they go, you Nazis, you far right, like they're doing in Ukraine. And this is what's happening in here. And psychologically, it means you've got to send women out because you can't really accuse them of being far-right thugs.
I agree with that.
So it's sort of a psychological reaction. It shows how we're living in an authoritarian system. But the thing is, with all this hassle you're getting, it means you're making waves and it means you're doing something good, doesn't it, really?
Yeah, I mean, if the people who are attacking us were supporting us, I think we're doing something wrong with that. But yeah, I don't want anyone to think that they are the majority. They are not. They are the minority, and they are the extremists in this situation, wanting to import millions of men who come from countries which hate women, which think of women as animals, and importing them into this country is an extremist position. And that's what we've been doing for the past decades. The reality is what we're doing is simply reacting to that and simply helping the victims.
Does the Women's Safety Initiative have any policy? I mean, what is your view on sending back women from foreign countries? I mean, my view is very, very simple. If you entered the United Kingdom illegally, you need to go back, whether you're a man, a woman or a child. And frankly, the reason I say that is because what I said earlier, a strong United Kingdom is the only way, or one of the only ways, to ensure global peace. And actually, millions more people will benefit from the United Kingdom staying strong than a few thousand people coming in destroying the UK, and then there's no beacon for peace in the world.
Yeah, and there are ways to support these women other than letting them in this country. I mean, look at the case of Emily Jones, who was a 7-year-old from Bolton, where I'm from, who was murdered by an Albanian immigrant. And that was a woman. It's not just men who are doing this. I think it is just that culture, these people coming from this culture, and they shouldn't be here to begin with.
And often it's women will protect their men folk and say, well, it's all right, they've done that, it's their right, you know what I mean? So they're just as guilty in that way.
But look, if Nigel Farage turns around and says women and children are exempt, we'll just get anchor women and anchor babies. The reason they're sending over men at the moment is because they do think their women are cattle and they keep them in the home. But if there was no option for men to come over, they'll just start sending the women in order to get the council house first, and then they'll move the men over later.
Yeah, exactly. And there'll be loads of European human rights stuff that says they have a right to a family life, and therefore they're allowed to bring their husband, brother, and whoever to this country as well. I mean, I think we need to go back to first principles here, that if you come to this country illegally, you should not be allowed in. Man, woman, child, whatever. Again, I think there are ways for the UK to support these countries that are also prioritising the British people first. And I think if it's between supporting these countries and supporting the British people, especially when it comes to safety, we should be prioritising the British people.
Absolutely right. Well, Jess, from the Women's Safety Initiative, we appreciate everything that you do, and congratulations. I think we have to say it again to Kent County Council for standing up for women's safety and being, I think, what is it, the first council in the country to actually allow you to formally speak at an event?
Yeah, we've had other reform councils support us, but this is the first official one.
Have some refused you? Have some councils refused you then?
No, not yet.
Right.
We're slowly building up, and actually lots of councils seem very keen, so hopefully it won't be the last.
OK, that is Jess Gill from the Women's Safety Initiative. We'll be back in a moment with Barmy Brunch, and also remember, at 11 o'clock, I'm going to tell you about my tale of when I bumped into Purple Aki.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Right, so I can't believe I'm going to read this out, but we've now got on the show Barmy Brunch. However, after Barmy Brunch leaves, we're going to be talking to reality star Finn Adams about his TV show on Discovery, right? And what we're going to do is pretend they're not the same guy, right? That is going to be unbelievable.
If you listen on the radio, he's got a gimp mask, but it's covered in beans, bacon, sausage, and it's from the Monster Raving Loony Party.
No,
bacon for ears.
No, sorry, he's not wearing a gimp mask covered in beans, right? No, that because people at home are just going to think that's absolutely.
Yeah, but they're on the radio, so they can picture that in their mind.
No.
Yes.
It's not a gimp mask. Yeah. It's not a gimp mask, right?
It is really.
It's a balaclava made out of a picture of a breakfast, right? Yeah. That's it. It's not a gimp mask with beans all over it. Well, that is not. Yeah. We're not saying that. We're not.
I won't say that. Don't worry. I won't say that when we're on air.
In the words of Ricky Gervais, let's nip that one in the bud. Right? Okay. So, Barmy Brunch from the Monster Raving Loony Party. What crazy stories have you spotted this week?
Well, when do you want to die, and how much do you want to pay for your plot of land to be buried?
Never and very little.
Right. Okay. So, if you're on the slightly larger side, Wolverhampton Council have decided they're going to charge you 20% extra for your plot of land.
And there's a lot of them there in Wolverhampton.
Well,
Because they eat a
Apparently-
lot of junk food.
Yeah, that's near
Yeah.
the sort of near the land of battered
Like your
Mars
mask.
bar.
They eat your mask every
I am
morning.
the
Yeah.
advert for Wolverhampton.
But it has to be said. So my mother is buried in. I mean, I would say she's buried at the bottom of the garden, which is not quite true. But my mum and dad lived in the church estate. But there is a big shortage of graveyards. Now,
yeah.
okay, the out of town ones, particularly up north, you're okay. But if you want to be buried in your local graveyard at your local church, you're going to have real problems.
Yeah. And these guys, well, apparently people only really need 5 foot wide. But if you are...
5 foot wide, not even I'm that fat. 5 foot.
Yeah,
But
wow.
remember, you've got to get the coffin.
Oh,
you've
I
got this,
see.
so it's like a sort of... What are they called? Those Russian dolls?
Yeah.
Those ones.
Well,
Like
they're called
that.
Russian
Stack 'em on top of each other.
Sorry. Let's just go back to Barmy Brunch. This is the comment of the week. What are those Russian dolls called? Russian dolls.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what. That
Even
is
in
the
Russia,
name.
that's what they call.
They're called Russian dolls.
That's not a technical... Isn't it like a...
Babushka or babushka.
Yeah,
or
but-
Oh, that's your grandmother.
No, she's buried in the garden.
babushka is the word for
babushka.
grandmother.
And what's the... Oh, yeah. The,
Yeah, it is.
Turn to the...
That's the only Russian I know, apart from Godzichuladilnik.
Which is...
Where's the fridge?
Minya Savut.
I don't know.
Menya
name
Safut.
is-
I don't speak.
Menya Safut, Andre Walker.
Hey, there we go. Minya Savut.
Kakdela?
Barmy Brunch.
Matryoshka dolls.
We're on the wrong channel here.
Yeah, Matryoshka.
I'll
This
tell you
is
what. I
RTV.
was able to say earlier. Muchi istias, which is there are flies over here, which I didn't think I'd ever be able to use as a phrase.
And why did you use it?
So I've moved into an old convent, and there was obviously a bit of a problem with some flies before I moved in. But muchi dias, I never thought I'd be able to say. Well, I never thought there'd be any use to say there are flies over here.
Did they sort him?
It's mucky
Well, I
dear.
just put a
Fly
Hoover
pipe
in.
over.
No, they were dead. There was. Anyway, it's not relevant. It's not relevant.
Back to Wolverhampton.
Right. So the death of flies was not the important thing. It was the death of people. So,
Yes.
do we believe that the people of Wolverhampton are particularly fat?
Well, I think it's going to be potentially, if it all goes well, people don't kick up too much of a fuss, they're going to roll out this cemetery tax across the country. At the moment, it's being tried in Wolverhampton.
Well,
and-
give us a ring if you're in Wolverhampton. Any yams, ring us and tell us what you think about it. I mean, if you die, it doesn't really matter, although obviously your family lose out. What are we talking? It's quite expensive now to get buried,
So
isn't it?
you're looking at, for a standard burial, you're looking at just under 1.5k for your standard plot of land.
Yeah.
That rises, though, to well over 2k if you're on the large side.
I mean, they do a lot of graveyards. After 200-300 years, they dig them up and put them somewhere else, don't they?
Matryoshka. No one's heard
If you're
that
watching
word.
on the screen, here's some fat
Look at
people
that.
on the screen,
Why
just
is
to
it
demonstrate
showing?
what
Why
fat
is it
people
showing
are.
on the screen? That is dirt. What's that?
I mean, how much would he cost? He shouldn't go to full. I mean, some
Also-
people are really fat and some people are just a bit fat.
My
That
favourite-
one there would be quite a lot
Imagine
on
if
it.
you were watching this and you just thought, oh, that's me. And then
Yeah.
just like...
But there's there should be a tiered
It's just
system.
show your face, but imagine
My
if you recognise your
favourite
body.
is if you go like to the pool or the beach when you're on holiday, and there's those women who look like Earthquake. You know, do you remember Earthquake from WWF Wrestling? That big fat bloke
Like
in the
giant
leotard.
haystacks for the older
No,
people in the
because he was in a leotard, right? If you look at let me get
Like Big
Earthquake.
Daddy.
Earthquake from WWF.
See, I was only ever into gladiators, so I watched Wolf and all of those
yeah,
stuff.
Wolf.
Right,
He's still
right.
going.
So
Is he? He's lost his hair though, doesn't
so
he?
there we go. That's Wolf. That's Earthquake.
Okay, now that looks like Wolf as
That's-
well from
that's
Gladiator.
what-
No, he
A
didn't
fat,
double
a
up.
fat wolf.
Yeah, he didn't
There we
moonlight.
go. Can we all see that? No, we can't see that, can we?
Anyway, 0344 499 1000. Give us a ring and what's the
Earthquake.
next story, Beanhead?
So that's that one done and dusted. Now, if you want to earn your money to get into one of these plots of land, how about catching shoplifters at a famous supermarket?
Yes.
Iceland are offering a £1 reward every shoplifter you catch, but it's not in cash they're giving it as a rewards
Yeah,
card.
but you could probably feed your family for about 8 weeks.
True,
for
that's
£1 in
true.
Iceland.
And get larger and larger, so you end up at
But
paying
it's
for
only
them.
£1, but are they expecting people to actually stay all day, catch about 30 or 40 of them, and then, it's quite a good living?
That's an idea for a segment. How about that? We just go to Iceland or another
I mean, to be
supermarket.
fair, to be fair, if you got a quid. If you got a quid per person, right, and Iceland was suffering, you found an Iceland that was suffering particularly badly, then actually, I mean, bear in mind, after tax, what would you need to be to make the minimum wage? About 6 people an hour?
Well, remember, it's on a rewards
No,
card.
11
so you
an
don't.
hour.
Do you have to pay tax on
after tax?
gifts in kind?
But what, you don't actually have to grab them, you tell
I
Garçon,
think you just
go and
have to. The system is, as long as it's a shoplifter, you're not just pointing at some granny.
But
who's
they
shopping.
don't do anything. They'll go, thanks, but we've got to let them go. But thanks for telling
Well, I
us.
guess they stop them from walking out.
I'll
with
tell you
the
what we
goods,
should all do.
maybe.
I'll tell you what we should
But they
do,
don't,
brunch,
do they?
Barmy Brunch. Why don't we, and I'm up for this, I'm seriously up for this, why don't we one day before the show all go to Iceland and just hang round?
Right. We're on.
You, me, Asher, you bring the beanhead, you bring the beanhead.
I could dress as a burglar. Yeah, we'll test them out. I'll be the burglar.
I'm up for that.
It would be a cross between this show and a day out with Robert Jemrick, wouldn't it?
Why don't they have store detectives like they used to? You know what I mean? They used to have the store detectives.
Did they?
Well,
they
I
used to have them.
worry because this street near where we are, which is Borough High Street, I mean, almost every shop has security now, and that pushed up the cost. So you've got the cost of police doing nothing, and you've got the cost of the security, which we pay for. Because ultimately, I'll tell you what, when I caught a shoplifter, I'll tell you what the guy said in, I think it was Tesco in Ascot. I think it was Tesco. The guy said, look, people say, who cares? It's only the shareholders who get punished. And that is true. He said, except for the fact that the stuff we sell in these little local Tesco's are things like nappies that women need absolutely urgently, or baby wipes or baby food and stuff like that. And so what will happen is people will come in desperate for this one item that they know you've got and it's been nicked.
But it puts the prices up as well. It's not just the shareholders. I mean, you look at inflation, it's probably a lot of it. I mean, Co-op, I think, lose millions and millions a year now.
So why is nothing being done?
I'll tell you what they'll do. I'll tell you what the shops will do. Tell you what the shops will do. The shops will just pull out of poorer areas where they see shoplifting higher, and because what they'll do is they'll just go, right, what are the areas that can warrant having a security guard there? These areas can't, and then you'll end up back to, no disrespect, your little corner shop where stuff's twice the price.
Wolverhampton.
Well, Greg's now has security guards, and it has all its pasties delivered in a security van.
Well, they also go into some lockdown, don't they? Have you been in one? I was in one.
It's like you know that old Ronnie Barker, what the corner shop. It's like that now. You have to go and ask them for it. You know what I mean? People are just going.
Well, they lock the door like they do on the buses and go, "We're not opening until you put that down."
Yeah,
that used to be
I've
like
been in one.
jewellers. You used to go in one door and they'd seal. Now it's that for a £1 pasty.
That's crazy. Well, that's Greg's for you.
Because I'll tell you what, the bus drivers used to. I mean, that was successful where they'd go, right, if you don't pay, the bus isn't moving, and then they'd sort of crowdsource the solution, wouldn't they? Because everyone go, get off, get off your knob, and all this sort of thing. But hang on, I reckon. Do you remember the Peckham Terminator?
No, what was that about?
The Peckham Terminator. This was brilliant. He was this guy who he looked a bit like H from Steps, and he used to get very, very upset on the bus home after he'd had a few drinks. And what happened was he was asking this lady for a fight on the bus because they wanted to throw him off for not paying. And in the end, he shoved the door to the bus, and the window smashed. So he stepped through the door rather than opening the door, and they went, "It's a Terminator! It's a Peckham Terminator!"
And he got that nickname just for one thing.
Yeah, well, I mean, it went viral. Like about 8 million people watched it, and it was in the days before stuff went viral. I'll tell you what, we're still with Barmy Brunch, but let's go to a break, and in the break, I'll show you the Peckham Terminator. There's no more breaks. Oh, isn't there? Oh, well, in that case,
just do our own one.
What's your next story, Barmy Brunch? Sorry, I thought we were badly over on the break. Apologies.
So, EasyJet are planning... Oh, no, actually, let's go with this
Because they were going to... I don't know if it's Ryanair, we're going to start charging fat people more as well, weren't they? And maybe that's right. I mean, you know, I once had a girlfriend, a German girlfriend, she got on Lufthansa and her case was slightly over, but she was like 6 stone, so I thought, well, it's not fair that just because you get someone who's 20 stone with it, you know what I mean? Well, it should weigh the person and the case.
I've had friends of mine who've said that, where they go, look, I'm sorry, what you have to do, because many skinny people have lots of fashionable clothes, don't they? So what you should me as the
did actually,
collective weight, right? Whereas I just
should
go,
be, shouldn't it?
whereas I just go, oh, I'll just pop into Next and get, one of those 5 shirts for 20 quid, whatever it was.
Yeah.
By the way, I went on holiday to Next, right, and I got all my right size of shorts. Didn't try any.
You went on holiday to Next?
I went on holiday, went to Next, and I got all these shorts to go, and all the right size, whatever. Opened the bag, they were all on the wrong hangers.
No.
Hey.
That was 5 a.m. on the day I was leaving.
Always try it on.
Oh, that's a bit of a nightmare, isn't it? That's a bit of a nightmare.
What did you do?
Yeah, what happened? No, don't tell him till after 11. We'll keep him there. Yeah.
To be fair, it was only like a 3-day trip, so I could survive.
Yeah, what was it? You could probably just buy stuff when you're
Buy
out
stuff
there.
when you're there.
Well,
don't
that's
you?
what the boss of Ryanair often said. He said, look, historically, the cost of your flight, 50% of it was putting your baggage in the hold. And he said people would buy a T-shirt from Primark for £2.50 and then pay 300 quid to fly to the United States of America and back. You're like, just buy a new T-shirt.
You can get these massive coats with loads of pockets that are specifically for flying, aren't they? Because they can't do you for your coats. You get massives of stuff in at these.
I'm going to do that next
A flight coat.
But there's a guy who had a rucksack in his shirt, like integrated. So he put all this stuff
That sort of thing, yeah.
and then put the rucksack over it. Nobody cared.
You got to think outside the box.
The worst one, if you've seen these adverts online where they have these, the vacuum packing systems.
Yeah.
Where you use
Suck it.
you use your Hoover. Well, that's fine. You suck all the air out, and it's like a fifth of the size. That's fine unless customs open the bag.
Yeah, then you've got to do it all over again. Oh yeah, because you can't take the motor over, can you?
You can't take your Dyson with you. So you just sat there in Miami airport with like 5 times as much stuff.
But they're bringing standing, aren't they? Some of these cheap airlines, like terraces in the plane, like the old days.
Because they looked
I
at
quite
that.
like that, yeah.
And staying with your budget airlines, an EasyJet manager has been sacked for saying "lovely ladies." What do you think of that? Lovely ladies.
Yeah, you should be sacked for how key.
Okay, just got back. So Julie says, just got back from the USA, went to Walmart, young lass sat on the floor, handcuffed behind the back. 3 cops pinched a three cop cars pinched a sandwich. They don't mess about over there.
Wow.
It's a sandwich.
Sandwich, just for that.
So tell us this lovely lady. Who was it that said lovely lady?
So it's a cabin manager who was just regularly. Apparently, he was using the tannoy announcer to do a stand-up routine as well. So it wasn't just your safety briefing.
She was like a 70s comedian, like, hello to all the lovely ladies out there. There's nothing wrong with that, is there? They go, oh, that's sexist. And,
well,
you know
yeah,
what I
he's
mean?
lost his...
I'm sorry, I keep getting into trouble for saying this, but it's never the lovely ladies that complain, is it? It's always the ones with like beards and like something on their neck. You know what I mean? Like some sort of infectious disease where they go, I hate it when people wolf whistle women. It's never happened to you. It's never happened.
So what's happened? Has he been what?
Yeah, so then he took EasyJet to a tribunal and lost it. So it's official.
So lovely ladies, you can't say. What
Lovely
if he
ladies.
just said ladies? Is
Well,
that
he was
all right?
saying-
What if you said venomous haverdens?
He said
Lovely
darling
ladies.
as well.
He said
which
darling
a lot
as
of
well.
people- it's quite a nice thing when people
I
call you
got into
darling.
trouble for that. I ran for the presidency of the National Union of Students, right? And they wanted me at the hustings to go in through the back entrance for security reasons, but I went in the front. It descended to violence.
What, because you'd been saying that?
No, because I was a Conservative, and I stood up and I said, my God, this lot on the front row kicking up a bit of a stink. It's not what they're saying. It's just they've rescheduled their annual bath. Right, and they all kicked off. And then I went, stick me in your gulag, darling, to one of them.
Yeah, but
it's sexist.
Yeah, but it's not. I know a lot of lovies will call men and women darling. I mean, my old mate James Whale, he used to say darling to men, and it's a lovely thing, isn't it? Hello, darling. You know what I mean?
Well, yeah.
It depends.
So
So
anyway-
it's actually a bit snobbish because it would be if a working class sort of go, oh, all right, darling, they go, oh, that's bad. But if it's some posh, we go, oh, hello, darling.
Are you going to tell? Is Finn Adams going to join us today and tell us about his show?
Right, after
Adams?
all these stories, let's do first and last name. Like, that's the thing. The joke with this show is I'm meant to stay in the mask.
So your real name's Finn Adams, and he's a teacher. Now all his pupils know.
Well, exactly. Yeah, I'm also doing the reality TV show, which you talked to me about.
I'll tell you what. Look, we've Barmy Brunch. So we got a mistake there. There are two separate guests. There's Barmy Brunch and there's a guy called Finn Adams, right, who's been on a reality TV show. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna for this bit. We're gonna finish with Barmy Brunch and we're gonna throw you out in 1 minute, and then Finn's just waiting outside. Hi, Finn.
Oh, there he is. Yeah,
all right, love. There we go. Yeah, Finn Adams is waiting, so he's going to come on the next time, just to start with, just to explain what he's doing in his new reality TV show. Barmy Brunch, you're looking forward to seeing Finn?
It's a really good show.
Why don't we get them in together and they can have a chat to each other? That'd be nice.
He's got a very similar accent to you, actually, I will say.
And he's always wearing the same clothes.
No, he's nothing like him.
Never been. Well, hang on. Always wearing the same clothes. He's a teacher, after all. Right? The teachers are like Homer Simpson. They wear the same clothes every day, don't they?
Yeah, they do, don't they? Yeah.
Like, does anyone?
Apart from one day a year, and we used to have they wear the same, but on a special staff day or whatever, they wear the big white suit with the flares.
Yeah, it's like oh, Mr. Jones has changed his clothes this month. Well done. Right, just get.
And they did have those leather arm patches and those Clark's.
Yeah.
Clark's chuckers.
Yeah, that's the
wear Clark's chuckers.
And I'll tell you what, Sweaty Ken. I remember Sweaty Ken at my school. He was a filth beast. He really was. Okay, so thank you so much to Barmy Brunch. Oh dear, we can't. Why has Beanhead got his face back on? They're complaining that you put your face back on, even though we all know what you look like. No, there is Barmy Brunch and there's Finn Adams. They're two different people for the purposes of this show. We will be back just in a couple of moments with the press preview. See you then.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Yes, this is the press preview, and we've got in the studio, first of all, we've got Finn Adams, who is a reality TV star, looks a bit like Stephen Kinnock, also a teacher. Are we allowed to say, no, we're not allowed to say any of those things?
And wears the same tie and shirt as Beanhead.
Okay.
Narrows it down even more.
He wears the same clothes as Barmy Brunch.
They swap clothes in the break.
So we've also got, but we're not going to go to him quite yet. Really, really glad, by the way, to have a new guest on who has, no, I'm not joking, who has been actually a caller and now been elected to council and is now one of our contributors. That's Councillor George Madgwick, who is Reform UK's leader on Portsmouth City Council. But the reason why we didn't want to go to him straight away is simply because Finn Adams is in for the first time with Asher Gould to talk about his reality TV show, which you have not yet.
I was away last week, so let me catch up to explain the situation.
The show's called 90 Day Fiancé, and it's all about these star-crossed lovers that have met from somewhere abroad and they're trying to be together. So I've, as it turns out, been in a relationship with someone from Brazil for 3 years. And we're trying to work things out, as you do, as you try and do across continents. And the show's about that. About
What,
the
and
trials.
about if she want to move here? Or
That's
was it about that?
So either she moves here or I move there. Most of the time they want to come here. Actually, in my case, I want to go there.
But I mean, isn't it dangerous out in Brazil?
Well, Brasilia.
Well, he's lived in London for a bit.
Yeah, that's true. It's probably balancing out now.
yeah. I mean, at least in Brazil they'll nick your wallet, whereas in London they'll slit your throat.
So it's Brasilia, is it? The capital?
Brasilia's the capital, yeah.
Nice and easy to remember.
Nice and easy to remember. Nice and safe as well, because there's not actually as many people there than there are in, say, Rio, where you're looking at 20 million. In Brasilia, you're looking at a city of 3 million. Capital city.
How'd you cope with the heat? Because do you burn out?
I burn very easily, but fortunately, they've got good aircon inside, so I'm indoors.
But you will go directly from white to red like me, won't you?
There's two shades.
Yeah, that's right.
What he'll be wearing his mask.
I need to borrow the bean mask from Barmy Brunch.
Yeah.
So we are now. So we started the show, and of course, what it was explained in the show is that unlike a lot of people who've internet dated, you actually met, and this is important to bear in mind because you're a teacher. You met when your sister worked in an orphanage.
Yeah.
Right? And you were also a child at the time.
No,
right?
I was 17.
Okay, which is legally a child. What didn't happen is you didn't go to Brazil as a teacher and meet a child in an orphanage.
No,
right?
that didn't happen.
That would not have been good.
That wouldn't have been good.
That
definitely didn't happen.
Okay. You've known her since you were 17, are you saying?
Yeah.
And how old are you now?
He's only 19.
He's
had a hard life.
So what had happened was she had accidentally, quote unquote, phoned you.
Yeah. That was it. 3 years ago.
Reignited the relationship.
And that was that. And then we're sort of together as all the other couples there. There's a guy on who is blatantly there for money, who's asking every week for $3,000. We say, again, that's just an opinion. Make your own mind up when you watch the show. There's a few other, some interesting ones. There's someone who's met someone in Italy. There's someone who's met someone in the Philippines, and she's now moved over here. So it's all about
what long distance relationships.
Exactly. That's why it's called 90 Day Fiancé, because originally it was from the States. It's come over here.
Yeah.
If you're in the States and you want to marry, they can give you a 90-day visa, which is called the fiancé visa. So that's where the show
But it's
comes.
really difficult. We've had callers on who wanted to get married, and it's cost thousands of pounds, and it's ridiculous.
We're not even, and it all kicks off in the next 3 episodes, so do watch Discovery Plus. But it all kicks off, and essentially people either get married or they don't, or they split up, and there's lots.
Well, those are the options.
So how long have you been going on this long distance?
They either stay together or they don't.
How long has it been going on, the long distance relationship?
Sorry, Asher. What I love this is the level of analysis that we've got here.
Expert analysis.
Mike Graham's waiting in the wings here thinking, I'd never thought of that a relationship either continues or ends.
So it's a complex relationship.
You're still with her, though?
Still, well.
Oh.
Yes. So, where are we right now? At the moment, you'll have to watch, but all I'm going to say is there's something coming that's going to blow up.
Oh.
That's all happening. September.
Which country is she from? Oh, it's Brazil, so it's...
We're fine.
Oh, that's it. Right, OK, so it's...
How long have you been with her?
Blow up in the relationship.
3 years now.
Right.
Just had our 3-year anniversary.
Well, hold on, but you were 17?
So, known
You
as
really
17
are
years.
only 20?
Known as 17 years, but we never were together until...
Oh, I see. Right, yeah.
So we've always said, we'll write a book about this, but actually it's more interesting to do a reality TV show. So we've
got actually a little clip. Let's have a look at a little taster of it.
We first met in a really unexpected place. In 2007, I flew with my mum to Brazil to visit my sister, who was volunteering in an orphanage. It was actually my sister who introduced me to Sandra. She was 17, I was 16, and she was living in the orphanage. Sandra told my sister, in Portuguese, that I was cute, and I had a nice smile, and my sister translated that. It was an unforgettable moment. It was the first time in my life that a girl had actually paid me a compliment and said something nice about me.
You look like you've lost weight, but it's the aspect ratio, isn't it?
90-day finesse. The 90-day
They got the aspect ratio wrong. Right. So you look quite chubby in that one.
Well, yeah, they say the camera adds 10 pounds, right?
No,
It does,
you were fat
especially
at the time.
especially if you're at the side, because with these widescreens.
Listen, when you're trying to get a decent bird, you always shift the weights, don't you? Anyway, let's properly introduce the other person who's doing the press preview today, and that is George Madgwick, who is a councillor and leader of Reform UK. George, welcome.
Good evening, gentlemen. How are we?
Yeah, not bad. Tell us a little bit about what's going on in Portsmouth. When were you
twin brothers?
When were you elected? How's Reform doing? What's the makeup of the council, etc.?
Yeah, I mean it's going well. I mean Portsmouth's been in the news recently quite a lot. I think for the wrong reasons, to be honest with you. We've had obviously the protests down here about the migrants. We also were the city that broke the story about people using houses of multiple occupancy for migrants to live in. We also had the big thing that broke actually on Mike Graham's show or Kevin O'Sullivan's show about the asylum seekers getting the leisure card and getting discounts off beach huts and kayaks and stuff like that. So it's been quite a active couple of months for Portsmouth City Council in the news. But it's going okay. You know, I think the shift is changing in Portsmouth. There is a massive support now for reform in Portsmouth, which is great. At the moment, there's only 2 of us on the council, but obviously we're hoping for many more next year. But you've got to start somewhere, right? But it's all going well, and the Liberal Democrat administration are having their feet well and truly held to the fire. And we'll keep just scrutinising them.
But the flags going up, the St George's flags, you know, the English resistance, are they putting them up there?
Yeah. No, we got flags everywhere, and we got spray painted flags on roundabouts. And the council yesterday said that they were going to get rid of all the flags that are on the pavements. And Colas, who's our independent contractor, said they were instructed to take the flags down. But luckily, after a bit of pressure, the flags that are on the lampposts are staying up, but the ones on the roads are coming off. So the council are starting to remove them.
Good. And there was an HMO big story in Portsmouth, wasn't there? They hid it from you, and you found out how many HMOs are there in Portsmouth?
So 55. So they told us originally that there are only 72 migrants living in a hotel in Portsmouth, and that was basically all we had. And we were told that repeated amounts of times. And we had lots of residents say that they believed that there was HMOs in the city being used to house migrants, house of multiple occupancy, and we were told that we were wrong repeatedly. And it basically transpired a couple of weeks ago now that the Home Office actually were keeping that information from us, and we do in fact have 55 in the city, which then led to the Home Office doing a big kind of update to the whole entire country when we found out we got over 600 living in HMOs and private rented accommodations and flats. So it was significantly worse than what we assumed it was. But at least the information is finally out there.
Are the council, your council, suing the government to remove them out of any hotels and possibly HMOs? Is there a legal way to get the people out of the HMOs? Because is that against planning regulations?
Not as far as we're aware, no. There is an issue with HMO licensing, but no, with the hotels, they're not challenging it because the hotel in particular that we're talking about here is going to be turned into flats within the next year anyway, so they'll be removed from that hotel within the next year
and
anyway.
given probably one of the flats.
All of
Maybe.
the flats.
Who knows? Or all of the flats. Yeah, who knows? But we do know that they are being removed from there in due course.
It's extraordinary though, isn't it? Because I mean, where I live, a lot of the residents have received an eviction notice to move in families, and there is one lady who says that she literally a month ago was living in Pakistan and has been moved over specially. They faked the emergency powers, but there was another lady. I mean, this must be soul-destroying. Knocked on the door of the house she'd been evicted from, and a woman came to the door saying, "I've only been here from Egypt for 2 weeks. Allah has blessed me, giving me this lovely house." And the woman in question is living in a van.
And sometimes it's women and children. They're actually kicking out women and children.
Yeah, we've had this in Portsmouth, precisely what you just said. We've had tenants report to us they've been given Section 21 notices to make way for migrants. So it's happening everywhere. It's a real shame. It's a real scandal, and they should be ashamed of themselves, in my opinion.
Well, it's because of this no-fault eviction thing. They've got to do it now, haven't they? So there'll be a glut of it.
Yeah, there will be an absolute overwhelming majority of it. But it also doesn't help that the Home Office are offering guaranteed 5-year rents, guaranteed fixes of all the maintenance and all the property, and massively inflated rents for the accommodation. So if you are a portfolio landlord, why would you risk taking 8 tenants that come and go and damage the property, rather than the Home Office offering you 30-40% extra in some cases with a guaranteed maintenance plan. I mean,
unbelievable, yeah.
It's terrible.
But as the paper, going into today's paper, the Daily Telegraph, asylum seekers' rights trump the people of Epping. That's official, says Cooper. I mean, that's where they're appealing this court case in Epping. Asylum seekers' rights are more important than the concerns of the people of Epping, the Home Office has declared. Today, a judge will rule whether Epping Forest District Council can close a hotel housing illegal immigrants, or the Home Office can continue to use it to house asylum seekers. But isn't the council ultimately they're the masters of the planning permission? A court can't change what the council decides.
If only that was true. So, yes, planning does come to local councils, but I think it's a misnomer to believe that the councils have the overarching say. If a council decides to reject an HMO application, then the landlord or the company, the architects, can go to a tribunal, to the Bristol courts, and get it overturned, and that happens more often than not.
The problem is, what will happen is our good friends at the Home Office will sue the councils to the extent that they can. So the problem is, as we all know in law, Asher, yes, right can be on your side, but when you've got a £50 million budget, actually you just squash all your opponents because you spend that much time wrapping them in cotton wool or red tape or whatever you want to call it, that they just give up.
But I think another key point here is, Andre, though, and that's missed, is that you've got to remember the councils get their finance from central government, right? So when the central government strip them of their finance, I mean, in Portsmouth, our legal team is running on bare knuckles. I mean, it really is. It's really been stretched. So as a council, when you're on a budget and you're looking at making cost savings, you can't afford to take these high-risk legal challenges. You can't do so. So the government have immediately got an upper hand because they can spend taxpayers' money a lot easier than local councils can.
Another story there is a picture of Angela No-Brainer Rayner vaping
She's a clever
on a boat, and she's dodged £40,000 of stamp duty by basically changing what her main residence is. Angela Rayner saved 40 grand of stamp duty on a new seaside flat after telling tax authorities it was her main home. The Telegraph can disclose, but I mean, I think she doesn't really live much in that home that she declares her main home. The Deputy Prime Minister is understood to have removed her name from the deeds of her house in Greater Manchester a few weeks before buying an £800,000 seaside flat in Hove, Sussex, which means that basically we end up paying, I think, isn't it?
I think what she said, Finn, is this, just to get this right. She says that she has a grace and favour place in the Admiralty because she is the Deputy Prime Minister. She's also got her home in the constituency, which she never goes to. And so she's saying she doesn't have 3 houses. She only has one, and that is a holiday home on the south coast. Let's be honest. I see where she's going with this, but it's just garbage.
Did she already do it once when she sold the council house that she owned?
Yeah. Oh, she's done it a few times.
She's already done it there. I mean, unbelievable, isn't it, Beanhead?
How many days do you have to stay in a house for it to class as your main Is it over 50%?
Well, the thing is with her, what will happen is the Admiralty, what they'll do on there, they'll pay business rates for it. They'll say it's a government office building, and we're paying. I happen to know that because I worked at Westminster City Council. But if she says I never go to the constituency, the only place I go to at the weekend is my holiday home, then that would, I suppose, legally make it her primary home.
Wow. So there we are.
But she keeps doing it. What makes me laugh is they're all up for higher taxes on people, other than themselves. It's do as I say, not as I do.
Exactly.
Well, people are getting prosecuted for not having a TV licence in their main home. Like, what on earth is happening here where you've just got the deputy PM?
Of course, what she can also do, she can also, if she wants to, she could get, I bet she hasn't done this, but she can get the Admiralty, she can get IPSA, the Independent Parliamentary Standards Authority, which is a stupid name for the fees office, to pay for a place in Manchester, and she can have another home on the south coast.
Wow. Next
it's just a bonanza, isn't it?
Yeah. Number 10, this is the last bit in the Telegraph. Number 10, cruel over-treatment of AIDS. Sir Keir Starmer is facing a backlash over the needlessly cruel way Downing Street handled the departure of a second senior female aide in less than a year. Nin Pandit was appointed the Prime Minister's principal private secretary in October, but it emerged yesterday that she was being replaced. It comes less than a year after Sue Gray was removed as his chief of staff.
Oh, come on. They
But
can't
Sue
be
Gray, they
loaded-
gave her son a safe seat and they gave her a great job after the old
Sue Gray.
Boris cake debacle.
Can I just say one thing about Sue Gray, who set up the British equivalent of the Stasi or KGB inside British government? We've always had security services, but this one, checking people politically. They spied on Julia Hartley-Brewer for only saying that every medical treatment carries risk. Sue Gray did that. But also the other thing that's dodgy about Sue Gray, and I'm sorry to say this publicly, but she joined the British Home Office officially as a civil servant and then moved to open a pub in Northern Ireland. What was it? I wonder.
She loved Guinness.
Why did she take a sabbatical from her job in the Home Office to work as a publican in Northern Ireland?
Because also all the pubs are closing in this country. So
Yeah.
You get a good drink,
it's like
for the
Sue,
crack.
Sue Gray, who was our top-ranking person in the, and now this I'm sure is not connected, in the department of government that has the security services, has now given up and taken the sabbatical to pull pints in the Republican area of Northern Ireland.
But wasn't she also the person who presided over the Boris Cake Gate? And then when Starmer said he was only with 5 people drinking beers and having a curry, then suddenly remembered there was 60 and Angela Rayner was there and she found him, no problem there with, I think it was Durham Police. And then she gets that job and her son gets a safe Labour seat.
What she is in reality is she is in my view, and I might be wrong, but from what I can see, she's a professional intelligence officer who spent her time in the cabinet office attempting to spy on genuine political opponents of the government who had absolutely no. And when it came to that investigation into Boris Johnson, remember something, she got Boris Johnson thrown out as British Prime Minister and installed a replacement when she had not told people that at the time she was negotiating to work for Keir Starmer. Some people call it an investigation. I call it a coup d'etat.
And it was a coup d'etat. It really
Anyway, we are going to
Non-violent.
say goodbye to Finn Adams, who is scuttling away to get his Brazilian.
like a cockroach.
Yeah, absolutely. We're sticking with, of course, Councillor Madrick from Portsmouth City Council, and we'll be back just in a moment. Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk. Yes, this is a press preview on Talk with Andre Walker, Asher Gould and Councillor George Madrick, who is the leader of Reform UK on Portsmouth City Council. Just to remind you that in about 40 minutes' time, we've got Mike Graham coming up.
No, Jeremy Kyle, he's gone to America for a few days. I've gone to America for a family reunion. So it's Jeremy Kyle Jezza tomorrow.
Okay.
Today, later on in an hour, if you're listening in the morning for you.
We're looking forward to that. OK, what else have you seen on the front page, Asher?
Right, the Daily Mail, I've lost 5 stone in 12 months on Mount Kilimanjaro. Now the price is set to soar, but I'm too scared to stop, says Jenny Murray. I'm sure she'll be able to afford it. But yeah...
I've got to be honest with you, George. The number of people who come up to me and go, I've lost weight the hard way. No, you haven't. You're on the jabs.
Yeah, I mean, I've had that same experience down here as well. A lot of people are pretending that they've done it. But you know, it seems to be working for a lot of people, and if it's going to save the NHS money in the long term, then great. But I don't like this capitalist approach where they just get everybody hooked on it and then try and put the price up by 3 times. It's really shameful.
But isn't there something? So I say this as a fat person. Isn't there something just inherently embarrassing about having to take injections to stop you gorging yourself? I mean, also the other thing is, I eat out of greed rather than hunger. Therefore, it's not going to do much for me.
Yeah, but no, because it's your appetite. I don't know how it works, but it'll hit your appetite centre, won't it, in your brain?
Yeah, but I don't eat because I'm hungry. I eat because I'm greedy.
Yeah,
well.
It completely stumps your appetite. That's the whole idea. I know a few people that are taking it.
Are you talking about yourself? It's all right.
Absolutely not. No, I'm 16 stone and proud of it. I'm the same as you, Andre and Ash. I like my food. My kebabs are my.
How dare you?
Oh,
I've got to be. What's the best kebab? It's got to be lamb shawarma, hasn't it?
No, well, do you know what? I just like a chicken sheesh with lamb doner mix. I mean, that's
interesting. I think
what I do is I have the garlic mayo and the chili sauce on the side, so I can dunk it accordingly. But
do you have chips with it?
That's the plan. So I would be no good on these jabs because I like to eat. But you know, as I say, people are taking them. But I think this kind of weight loss has always been a thing for years, hasn't it? You know, we've always had people on Weight Watchers or different programs like that, and people getting those bans. And I know, to be fair, I know a lot of people that got gastric bans who actually got really ill off it.
Well, that's very you can die in the operation with that. But they're giving it to 10-year-olds, and some people say that's bad. But then maybe, you know, a chubby kid, it can be very unhealthy, and it can set their whole life like that. So maybe it's not a bad thing, and they get bullied. And
I'll be honest with you. We went to the British Bangladeshi Caterers Association with Vanessa Feltz, and she'd had that gastric bang. And I'll tell you what, on the table, you know how before you start your food, they've put out the chocolates already. She hoovered them up immediately. Right? She didn't have much space, but she went. Do
you remember when I think it was Anne Diamond just before Celebrity Fat Island? She had an operation, and Mickey Quinn of This Parish Talk Sport, he was on it as well, and he was not happy about it. And how he did it was because I remember he was working at Talk Sport. He kept going to the vending machine, stuffing his face, so he'd be really fat before, and he'd lose weight naturally. So. Quite a cunning plan, but yeah, are they exploiting? Who owns Mount Jaro? Is it an American company?
Yeah, they are. Yeah.
Well, that's sort of.
But the reason they're putting up the cost, George, is simply because President Trump has said that he's getting sick of American medical insurers and ergo by extension the American taxpayer paying for all of these drugs through the nose and then them being sold off cheap around the world.
I mean, he's got a point, right? I mean, at the end of the day, Trump's dedication is to his own nation. His loyalty is to his own nation. We can't fault that. I wish I had a leader that was as dedicated to his nation as Trump was. But, you know, I understand that argument, but that doesn't really help us over here, does it? And I think where the problem is here is people are now hooked on this drug. I can imagine losing weight being a very addictive thing. You know, it's a little like going to the gym. It becomes an addiction.
But you're only meant to have it for, I think, is it 2 years or something? Is there a limit?
Yeah, but I mean, most people are only into it for a short time now. I mean, a lot of people have only been into it for a couple of months or a couple of weeks or you know.
And then you balloon when you come off it. It's like a diet, really, isn't it?
It's like living with Mama Cass.
Yeah,
that's right. And that's what I think people forget is that I mean, if you're someone that likes food, and this has been proven through multiple scientific research, if you're somebody that likes food and you like consuming food, that will still be there when you come off of this drug. And it's happened with a lot of these weight loss shows. People are known for putting it back on in dramatic fashions after coming off of it. And the same will happen with this jab. So it's a real concern. I think if people can't now afford it, it's going to become a problem. And
yeah, so what will happen is you'll spend all your money on this thing and end up as a tubber anyway.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, potentially, but also you've got to remember that people are going to now be desperate and looking for alternatives, cheaper alternatives, which might not be as safe and as reliable as this drug is.
Good point.
Mama Cass, she choked. She was, you know, that in that band, All the Leaves Are Brown. She choked on a cheese and ham toastie. And Pete Townsend, I think he owned the flat, and Keith Moon moved in. He said, I don't really want you to move it. He died in the same bed.
No. Mama Cass
Wasn't
died.
It something like
Mama
that?
Cass died of a massive heart attack as a result of yo-yo dieting. She did not die choking on a ham
They
sandwich.
found a half-eaten cheese and ham sandwich.
They always
and
say...
Keith Moon, I think it was drugs. Yeah.
Keith Moon's alive, isn't he?
We're not. No, he died in like the 70s, like, yeah. Keith. Well, I hope he is, yeah. He was a great drummer. Anyway, the main headline, now as the boss tells Reeves, stop taxing everything. This is the retail outlets are really suffering, not just from shoplifting, but from inflation. Rachel Reeves was last night urged to stop taxing everything by the boss of one of Britain's biggest supermarkets. In a stinging rebuke, the chairman of Asda said surging costs were battering businesses and the middle classes as the Chancellor plots another round of tax hikes. Retail veteran Alan Leighton accused her of taxing everything in some way,
George, you can comment on the budget if you want, but you know what? I'd be just as interested to hear from you from Portsmouth, just to understand about this shoplifting epidemic, because that's pushing up the costs as well. Is that something that you've come across? Is that something that's as bad over there as it is where I am?
Absolutely come across. I was in my supermarket only today and noticed that every single bottle of alcohol has been put in a locked cabinet where you've got to press a button for a staff to come along and unlock the cabinet for you. Yeah, it's absolutely rife in Portsmouth. It really is terrible, and the police are not prosecuting this effectively. They're not following it up effectively, and I know that they've got stretched resources, but at the end of the day, it's sending a really dangerous message to people.
What do the police, George? George? So obviously the police don't come on shows like this, but you talk to them all the time. You will have a local officer. What do they say? Oh, we just can't be bothered.
No, I mean I'm personally friends with the Police and Crime Commissioner Donna Jones, and I have this conversation with her very often, and she finds it as frustrating as anybody else. But she says, we've got a stretch budget, we've got a certain amount of resources, a certain amount of officers, but people prefer us being looking at shoplifting or serious violence.
But do they arrest Twitter people in Portsmouth? Because that you could cancel that and put shoplifting ahead of that.
Not yet, but the way I'm going, probably I might be the next. But no, not.
But here's the slight problem. So. I am not suggesting to the Police and Crime Commissioner of Portsmouth, or indeed anywhere else, that you arrest every single shoplifter. The point is, these are criminal gangs. And actually, I've made this point before, when they don't bother doing anything about the bag thieves of Tooley Street, which is just in front of us where we are sat now, not where George is, but it's not 500,000 people committing one bag theft a year. It's one person doing 500,000 of them and making those.
It's normally about 20 thieves in the whole of London doing this bag theft.
Exactly right. And so consequently, what happens is, if you think of every crime as a minor incident, then ultimately you can create a criminal empire. Yeah. Which, by the way, people in Romania have done in the UK, and the police do nothing about it.
Well, under £200, do they still have that rule? I mean, that's ridiculous. Like the Giuliani broken windows policy. You've got to arrest everyone, however much the amount. Do they still have that £200 rule for the police to arrest people?
Yeah, as far as I'm aware, absolutely they do, yeah.
It's ridiculous.
And it's shocking because the criminals know that. They're clever, they'll go with 180. They're not silly. Yeah. They know the rules, and it's so nonchalant. We saw somebody in a supermarket literally a couple of weeks ago. I was in there and the security was stopping them, and they just literally had hordes of it in their trolley, and they walked through the self-service checkouts like it was nothing, just to, I guess, hope they weren't caught. But this is where I think self-service checkouts are actually a part of the big problem, because people can just walk through those without any real serious checks, and I think that needs to be looked at as well. But when you take staff off the front line in supermarkets, what do you expect?
Well, they don't stop them anyway, do they? I mean, they're not allowed to stop them, so that's why they blatantly just walk out.
Well, my understanding is, if you grab a shoplifter, what will happen, and I might be wrong on this, but this is certainly what Tesco's think, if I grab a shoplifter, then what will happen is the police will say, well, look, we're not going to investigate the shoplifting because it's under 200 quid, but we will investigate the assault of the shoplifter, and they'll arrest you for grabbing them.
You're allowed to citizens arrest, aren't you?
Well, apparently that's what the Tesco's are worried about.
Yeah, I mean, it's disastrous, and as I said earlier, it sends a complete wrong message to the people, and it's become now a systemic epidemic across the country, hasn't it? It's become a real big issue. I mean, it's billions of pounds a year now in theft and losses, and it's crazy, and the only way to resolve that is by policing it. I think we need to make that clear. It's purely a change in police policy, but to do that, the government needs to fund.
Well, I'll tell you what you could do. So, we are one of the only countries in the world where being a police constable is quite a middle-class job. I mean, it's kind of a bit working class, and the people that go into it tend to be working class. But actually, in terms of its pay, in terms of its training, it is quite a middle-class job. that cost of a police constable, means there are fewer of them. I just wonder whether, I mean, I'll tell you my own view. My own view is to have regional investigators for major crimes, but actually for the police constables, just like in almost every country in the world, to be just part of your local authority in the same way as sheriff's deputies are in the United States of America. But either way, is there an argument, George, for just saying, get rid of these bloody PCSOs, they're a waste of time, and instead we're going to have large numbers of actually warranted police officers on the streets? Obviously, not perhaps as highly skilled as the officers we've got at the moment, but, much more able to score things.
Yeah, and I think what you say is a good point, and it kind of already does happen in councils. Councils that have their own licensing authority usually have licensing police officers that work from the council building. So we in Portsmouth have a couple of dedicated licensing police officers that literally just dedicate themselves to licensing issues. So it can happen. There is a precedent for that happening. And
what often happens, I remember when Sarah Thornton was in charge of the Thames Valley Police and I worked at the Royal Borough of Windsor and Maidenhead, we wanted to pay for some additional police officers, and she said, thank you very much. If the taxpayer in Windsor and Maidenhead pays for those police officers, we'll deploy them in Slough to reduce the... So the problem you've got is, because you've got these regional police forces, which, by the way, make a lot of sense for things like firearms, for things like R gangs, for things like M's, because we're rerunning in the morning, I don't want to go through the names of the crimes. But when it comes to ordinary officers on the street, it's been a disaster.
Yeah, you are absolutely correct. And I think the police officers themselves have real frustration with this as well. You've got to remember that a lot of these police officers do genuinely want to solve these crimes. And I think they're as frustrated as anybody else. But the finance isn't there. There's a lot of red tape. There's a lot of pushback. But I absolutely agree with you. I think you've got a really good idea that you should be pitching to police and crime commissioners and regional mayors here, because I think that it would be a real strong message, and if the council had a dedicated team, they could assign it appropriately. So I think you're onto something.
But we're not, you're not addressing the elephant in the room. I mean, the reason it's all happening like this is because the high-up coppers, I mean, I don't know what it's like in your area, you know them, but it's politicised. And if you don't sow the line, you don't get promoted.
No, what they did was Ian Blair. This is what killed policing in this country, in my view. By the way, you're right, Asher. Sorry, I'm just dovetailing on. Ian Blair demanded that Tony Blair change the law so you can't set up your own police service. And what was happening? The Royal Borough of Kensington and Chelsea wanted to set up their own police force as a rival as an additional to the Met, and the Met didn't want it. The Met didn't want to police Chelsea, and they didn't want Chelsea to have its own police force. And if we got rid of that, where a local council can bring in its own police service if it wants to pay for it, that will blow them to pieces.
But they've dumbed down the police. I remember the old days, it was all ex-military, not even that long ago. And I remember about 10 years ago, lots of older coppers, maybe in their 40s, 50s, were being sort of forced to retire because apparently they were expensive. So they got rid of all those experienced and ex-military people, and they started bringing in police. They have to have degrees. And now when you look at coppers, they look like, what you used to look at a cop and think that looks like a copper. Now you look at them and they look like actors from The Bill where the clothes don't quite fit. They don't look like real coppers. So that's all changed. There's a lot of fat coppers. You get short coppers. There's no height restrictions.
I've got to be honest with you. If you have a degree, I would probably be disinclined to put you in the police, simply because when you're walking the streets, you do need a level of muscle. And actually, you can train people to criminally investigate. You can't train university people to be anything other than airy-fairy. Anyway, we're going to go to a break now, but we're going to be back with the press preview with myself, Asher Gould, and Councillor George Madgwick straight after this.
across the UK. On DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Yes, this is a press preview on Talk with Andre Walker, Asher Gould and Councillor George Madgwick. If you are listening on Friday morning, Jeremy Kyle is up in about, 23 minutes? Time doesn't have to be that exact, though, does it, Andre? And if you want to call us and you're still here on, well, if you want to call us in Jeremy, if you want to speak to Jeremy, or you want to speak to us, 0344 499 1000, calls just charged at your normal rate. What's next, Asher?
The Independent Home Office appeals against injunction that closes asylum hotels and warns it could spark more protests. Not well, obviously. And Putin's strike on British targets sabotages peace, says Keir Starmer. They basically bombed the British Council in Kiev. Russia has killed at least 19 people, including 4 children, in a massive wave of drone and missile attacks on Kiev that drew international condemnation. Ukrainian President Zelensky said the strike was Russia's answer to diplomatic efforts to end the war. Moscow claimed it only hit military targets, but Number 10 summoned the Russian ambassador to London to receive an official complaint after the British Council building in the Ukraine capital was struck by missile. I mean, they have peace talks and then he bombs Britain. He was like having peace talks with Trump the other day, and the next day he bombed an American electronics company in Ukraine. He sort of takes the mick, doesn't he? Just doesn't care, Putin, does he?
George?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think people said that while Putin was over doing those peace talks in Alaska, that give it a couple of days and he'll go back on that. And look, it clearly isn't working, is it? And I think it's a real big statement that he has hit a British council. I think that is a real big statement. Now I'm hoping and I believe that no one has died that's British, but still, I mean, you've damaged British territory or British an institution. So I think it does sabotage peace entirely. I think it's really dangerous. It sends the wrong message. And
but to be fair, the British and Americans bombed the Russian embassy in Belgrade and then said whoops afterwards during the Balkan War. I mean, it's not completely unheard of, this sort of behaviour.
No, of course it's not. Of course it's not unheard of. And obviously we're not privy to certain foreign or international policy or conversations that are going on behind the scenes. But at the end of the day, it's not a good look, is it? I mean, how can you go to peace talks only a week ago and then strike with such force and kill so many people?
I'll tell you what upsets me, George and Asher. What upsets me more than anything else is that you've got countries like Ukraine. It's not the only country. Basically, between two blocks. Are you going to be ruled by the EU, or are you going to be ruled by the Kremlin? And actually, you know, if I was from a country in the middle of those two blocks, I would turn around. First of all, I'd be more pro-EU than I would be Kremlin. But that would only be because, obviously, you can trust the EU to allow you to have somewhat more democracy than the Kremlin would. But ultimately, this idea of independent, peaceful Central European states is still not under active consideration, is it?
No, not at all in any way, shape or form. And I think the Ukraine situation, look, it's difficult. There's a lot of prongs, there's a lot of opinions, and there's a lot of sides to the story here. You know, and as you know, I mean, I think this is public knowledge, but you know, Ukraine is a corrupt institution. They have a really bad history. So let's not pretend that they are this innocent victim here. You know, they have done things wrong. Absolutely doesn't justify Putin going.
Well, my problem, George, with all of this is first of all, look, obviously you're saying doesn't justify the invasion. Got all that absolutely right. The big problem you've got is that people forget that these are all former Soviet republics, right? Yeah. The level of, so as an example, the level of treatment of Russian minorities in Ukraine was dreadful. The treatment of any minority in Eastern Europe is pretty bad by our standards. Yeah. But equally, you know, when you were talking about this whole thing, what was Biden's role and Hunter Biden in all of these dodgy oil deals? Because one of the problems is there are ordinary people sat there in Ukraine trying to make their country successful, but there's no doubt that this is also a battle of oligarchs who can pilfer the most money from the taxpayers' teat.
Yeah, and even Putin himself said, didn't he, if that Trump was in charge and it wasn't Putin, if it wasn't Biden, it would be more than likely that this war wouldn't have happened. I think that, look, I'm a skeptic, and I always believe that if there's a war, there's someone making a lot of money from it. And you are right, you know, there's a lot of oligarchs involved. And make no mistake, Trump has enough power via sanctions to probably end this war very quickly. And what I want to know is why he isn't doing those sanctions, because you've got to remember, Russia's whole entire GDP is less than the size of Texas, right? So let's just put that into perspective. It's less than Texas. Russia relies on America to keep that going.
The big problem you've got with Trump and Russia is this. First of all, Donald Trump does not care about Ukraine. Secondly, there's something that he does care about. He genuinely agrees with Nikita Khrushchev, God rest his soul, that the critical issue here is radical Islam and China, not Russia and the United States of America. And so the fact that Vladimir Putin wants to stick his hand in the till of the Russian taxpayer is of no interest to Trump. Now, it might be that it should be of interest to Trump, but what Trump wants to do is deal with the issue of China, and he wants to deal with the issue of Islamic radicalism. And fundamentally, frankly, Russia could be helpful in that. The problem comes that Vladimir Putin now is so committed to sticking his hand in the till, it's hard to know. It's hard to know.
Nuclear power as well. I mean, you know, that's the elephant in the room on that one. I mean, no two nuclear powers have ever gone to war together against each other for good reasons. And that is ultimately... I remember they did war games to test what could happen when Biden was in charge, and they said, no, we can't actually go to war with Russia because it ends in mutually assured destruction, and they're already, you know, shaking.
Can I tell you the reason? Can I tell you the problem here? The problem is Kaliningrad. So, if you think about it, Kaliningrad is 25 miles from Belarus. If there was a war between Russia and the United States of America, the first thing that they would do is they would link up Kaliningrad with Belarus and cut off Estonia, Latvia and Lithuania. Right. Now, what you have to remember is, to now get back Estonia, Latvia and Lithuania, you have to deploy probably a tactical nuclear weapon to take out Kaliningrad. Once you do a tactical nuclear weapon on Kaliningrad, a strategic nuclear strike will follow from Russia.
And that's just a chain reaction.
It's just not,
and the world is destroyed, isn't it?
Because there is that 25-mile stretch between... So just to explain, there's an exclave of Russia called Kaliningrad, which is basically in the middle of Poland, and so if that site, Kaliningrad, linked up with Belarus, there would be no land border between NATO countries, the NATO countries in the west on the one hand, and the Baltic NATO countries. That would be the end.
Yeah, and this is why it's so important. And the only way of resolving this problem is through diplomacy. There is no other resolution to this problem other than diplomacy. But I think they've all dug their heels in. They've all got egos that they need to keep polished. And I don't know who's going to fold first, but someone's going to have to, because, as you say, the alternative to a diplomatic outcome is a disaster.
George, I want to give you some good news. We've had a number of callers in, but we've had one of them from Portsmouth. So we thought, as this was your first ever appearance as a full contributor, you know, I know you've come on as a guest before, but as a contributor on the show, we thought it was only fitting that somebody from Portsmouth should speak to you. I don't know what she's going to say.
She might like you, she might not. We're going to find out.
We're not expecting it to be negative. But Kelly, the floor is yours with the leader of Reform in Portsmouth.
Hello there, George. I've got my trainers on.
Good, good. How are you doing?
Is that code?
Social. I've had the police and social at the door to try to take the boys today. They're here. We're safe. We have been traumatised, but they've been really nice.
What's the context of this? I mean, is this a live case that we can talk about?
Hang on, stop. Right, you can't come on and go, I've had the police at my door over the boys, right? What's going on, right?
Well, is it a live case, first of all? Because we can't talk about it if it is a live case.
Weekends. No, it's not. I'm not gagged on this. I'm only gagged on children I won't mention that were taken on the 13th of December 2000.
No, we're gonna put this to an end.
It's not. What?
But hang on, we can't talk about a live children's services case.
Can't be specifics really on that. Yeah.
Kelly,
you tried, guys. You tried to get me someone from Portsmouth, but yeah,
she's still there, Kelly. Anything else you'd like to talk about, or is it just that?
Say thank you to Portsmouth Patriots.
Why?
That's it. Yeah.
Why would you like to say thank you?
Because the police today realised that it was the union that are the left, because the police had to override the social worker today when she realised that the left opposing me was the university.
All right, thanks, Kelly. I mean, we'll take a little break here and think about that, and we'll be back in a couple of minutes.
across the UK. On DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
This is the press preview with Andre Walker, Asher Gould and George Madrick. And I think we have to apologise. We're expecting that to be a far more general chat about politics in Portsmouth. But anyway, we'll move on swiftly.
Listen, guys, I think the point she was trying to get across is there's a really good group down here called Portsmouth Patriots who are the leads of the protest down here, and they always organise peaceful protest. And recently, anyone that's been supporting them has had a little bit of trouble from the left side of politics.
Oh, really? Tell us a little bit about that, George.
And I think that's what maybe she was trying to get at on a more generalised term. But
what with the police, you mean? The left and using the police to sort of...
The left are using the police and council authorities to put in multiple lines of complaint about people that are going to the protests.
Right.
And it's I mean, even myself, I've had 20-odd complaints in the last couple of months against me at the council offices, all about my support for the protest or speaking against having more migrants.
I must admit, when I first established my YouTube channel several years ago, I had a young lad on my show. I used to have, on Wednesdays, I used to have a public phone in, and literally members of the public used to come on, and he was quite negative about the teachers in his school who were going on strike. And can I tell you, they just attempted this safeguarding thing, and a friend of mine who's a teacher said, look, just be very careful. You've got to get this kid off your channel simply because they'll start calling in the police and all this sort of stuff, and you'll get into real problems. I'd never thought about that, but it's amazing the way these people will weaponise the system, George.
Absolutely, and they are weaponising the system. I mean, I don't know if you saw the report, but a report came out last week that this year alone, there's been £40,000 of taxpayer money spent on complaints against myself for speaking up against the migrants. And by the way, just as a side note, none of those have gone through, or I've not been found guilty of any of those complaints.
Well, we had an awful one. We had an awful one where Eton College, who should have known better, attempted to refer one of their teachers to the Prevent programme for being a potential terrorist. And his offence was that he was giving a lecture on feminism that the school were uncomfortable with because it was very critical of feminists. Now, should he have ignored the school management? No. Should they have been over the top? Yeah, no. But at the same time, to waste or to attempt to waste taxpayers' money on kicking in a terrorist investigation under the Prevent programme is just outrageous.
Yeah, absolutely, and we've seen examples of this across the country, and as I say, locally at the moment, the kind of, not everyone on the left, but a certain selection of people on the left, the more radical left.
But have they never... George, have they never considered the possibility that the reason these people are out worried about uncontrolled immigration is because there's a problem there? I mean, I just wonder. I mean, you know, officially, in their mind, all us three are far-right extremists. Officially, according to them, these women that are protesting in Epping actually just are lunatics. You know, what is it, coked-up yobs, or whatever a Labour MP called them. And I mean, I just don't understand why they can't just say, maybe these people have got a fair point, and actually they don't want a big rut.
Because they know they have got a fair point.
But they just have to use emotive language, and it's meant that words like racist have kind of don't mean anything anymore.
They don't.
How many times can you be called a racist or a Nazi before it doesn't matter?
But you meet the Commissioner of the Police, don't you? You said regularly.
Yes.
I mean, what's he like? Is it different in your area?
I think it's a lady.
Politicised?
It's a lady. It is. It's a lady called Donna Jones. She's a Conservative Police and Crime Commissioner, and yeah, I do have a good relationship with her. She always picks up the phone and helps, and to be fair, she's been really supportive of the protests going ahead, as long as obviously they go ahead peacefully.
Of course.
And the police, to be honestly fair with them, when it first started, the police weren't handling it great, in my opinion. But recently, in the last couple of protests, they really have been doing a good job. They got their lines organised, and everything's been so peaceful. But as you were saying about us being called these far-right thugs, the other day, I think it was about a week ago, there was a protest going on just about HMOs in Portsmouth.
Yeah.
Peaceful protest at the Guildhall on a Friday daytime, not a night time, and I put about it on my Facebook page. I didn't organise it, but I just highlighted that it was going on. And another councillor from another city shared that, calling me a Nazi sympathiser. And this is the kind of attacks. I know. I can see your reaction. For those of you that are listening on radio, the reactions are ridiculous because it is ridiculous. And it ended up being a couple of 100 comment debate on are you a Nazi or a racist if you attend just any protest? It's becoming crazy, guys. It really is.
I just worry the way that I mean, when we're talking about loving people and caring and wanting to do the right thing, the idea that you will throw British families out onto the streets in order to accommodate somebody from Pakistan or Uganda or wherever, and my argument is this: you've got to look after your own first. But you are not a great person if you evict a British family onto the streets and put in somebody from Syria into their house. Doesn't make you a good person.
No, and this is why, you know, when the hotels will start closing now, obviously, with the court decision, but we need...
Well, unless they win this appeal where they say the migrants and people are put ahead of the British population.
I mean, who are the Labour government working for, right? Because it isn't the British people. Because
they've said clearly we put them above the British population.
It's crazy, and I don't want them moved into more HMOs and more flats and communities.
No, because of course the suggestion isn't that they leave. The suggestion is they don't happen to stay in hotels.
Which they've hidden in Portsmouth, and you only found out about it recently.
And what else will they hide? You know, I now don't have faith in what they're reporting to us, because if for 2 years they can tell us there's nothing, and then we find out overnight there's 600 plus...
Yeah,
that's big. That's a big cover.
Well, they won't divulge where the migrant hotels are either.
Well, in the other place, Jacob Rees-Mogg made a video about this migrant hotel that was really tucked away in Somerset.
Yeah.
You know, down all these country lanes, behind all this. I'm sure there's loads of places we don't know about.
I agree. I entirely agree. But the people are starting to now kind of communicate via social media and really kind of get these out there. At which point, the Home Office are then saying, "Oh yeah, you caught us. It is one." But I've said to a few people now, the problem is, I think they really don't trust the population, because I think the people's problem is they're not being told the truth. It's not transparent. And I think if the Home Office were just honest with people and trusted them with the information, there would be less protest, because at least then the population could trust the information that was coming out, if that makes sense.
Yeah, but they just say, "Oh no, we're not divulging this because it will bring out the far right thugs." You know,
tensions.
So they're using, basically, that's the sort of East Germany, isn't it? The old way they used to do it. We can't tell them for this reason and that. Where we live in a democracy, so there has to be transparency, but they don't see it like that. Anyway, the Daily Star. Daily Star. I think the main headline should be actually the price of cheese. We're talking about food inflation, and there it is. It was £5.10 Cathedral City in Tesco, and now it's, if you got your club card, it's £4, and that's meant to be cheap. £4 for a piece of cheese. I mean, the price of olive oil has gone mental, hasn't it? What is it now?
Why are you saying that?
£9 for a bottle. Chuck's our producer. He's like, you know, very middle class and has like Manchego cheese and olive oil. You bought it the other day, didn't you? Because we all had it. £9, and it was a plastic bottle, wasn't it?
You've got the right guy on the show here, because aside from being a councillor, I'm a restaurant owner, and I owned an Italian restaurant up until recently when I changed it into a steakhouse. And the reason I changed it over mainly was because of the food prices of things like olives and olive oil going up. I mean, I remember buying a big, obviously we buy industrial, but we bought a big one for £19, and that went up to 56 quid almost overnight. So yeah, absolutely.
What about the price of steak?
The price of steak, to be fair, has actually stayed level. It was actually more expensive about a year and a half ago, so that's stayed relatively okay from a wholesaler point of view.
And what about farmers in your area? What's going on there?
It's not good. We had a farmer protest a couple of months ago in the middle of Guildhall Square. Although Portsmouth City Council doesn't have any farms, obviously we're a really densely populated area.
Yeah.
We're surrounded by farms, absolutely covered in them around our areas, and we had a farmers protest there. You know, they are struggling. Of course they're struggling, because all the prices are going up, especially energy prices. We had another 2% increase, didn't we, just the other day, or announced, should I say, the other day. And of course they're struggling, because the supermarkets are trying to stay competitive, and the margins are pushed lower and lower and lower. And at the end of the day, it's the farmers suffering. And now with this,
and the inheritance tax, of course.
Yeah, the inheritance tax WAP kind of makes them wonder whether it's worth it or not. And I don't think that the government realise that the farmers are the backbone of this entire country.
I think they know that very well, and that's why they're trying to destroy them.
They want the land to go to the big corporates, like they do with BlackRock and the houses and other big corporations. They're taking the houses off the landlords so they can do it, get big corporations buying it up by the thousand, and then have an oligopoly and then bring the prices right up. All the essentials, food and housing.
OK, look, we just need to say that if you're listening on Friday morning. Then Jeremy Kyle is just up in a couple of moments. You can call him on 0344 499 1000. It's going to be an absolutely epic show. And if you're still with us on Thursday night, then we are coming to the end of the show with George Madgwick, who I think has done a good job. Is this the first time you've contributed rather than just appeared?
Yeah, properly. Yeah, usually it's just 10, 15-minute interviews or 5-minute interviews in different shows. So, yeah, it's the first time, and hopefully I'll be joining you guys in the studio in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, you are.
Is that because you forgot it was tonight?
No, there was a miscommunication. They said come in one Thursday, and they thought they said on Thursday. But hey, I'm here virtually, which is the main thing, right?
Right, well,
it's absolutely fine. Well, thank you so much.
Thanks,
and it was really interesting to have somebody who's a newly elected leader of a reform group at a local council. We're going to be taking all your calls, and I'm going to tell you about my story with Purple Aki, who died this week. 0344 499 1000. Many of you won't know the sex pest from the Northwest, but he is now gone. We will be back just in a couple of moments.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Well, there's been some controversy this week, hasn't there, because of the comments of Ryland Clark, the X Factor star who was talking about illegal migration. Now, I have to say, I slagged him off on my YouTube channel because of the fact that he said that Britain was built by migrants. I find it offensive as far as I'm concerned, and I might be wrong, but there was nobody from Lesotho at the signing of the Magna Carta. I don't believe that anybody from Guatemala was involved in the creation of the Saxon law. The codification of the British Bill of Rights was not simply not even witnessed by anybody from Zambezi land, but nonetheless, he did say that we needed to stop the illegal migrants. Take it away, Ryland.
I find it absolutely insane that all these people, one, are risking their lives coming across the channel like that they are, but two, when they get here, it does seem, and I think this is why a lot of Labour voters as well are now sitting there going, there's something wrong here. It seems, welcome, come on in. This is the narrative we're being fed. Here's the hotel. Here's the phones. Here's the iPad. Here's the NHS in reception of your hotel. Here's 3 meals a day. Here's a games room in the hotel. Have a lovely time and welcome. And then there's people that have lived here all their lives that are struggling.
Yeah.
There are homeless. Let's not even discuss our homeless. There are people living on the streets, veterans, all of this. Now, this isn't me getting on my soapbox because, let me be honest, everyone's going to have an opinion about this and you're going to upset someone some which way. I believe that something major needs to be done about this.
And they're all nodding, aren't they, in agreement? Yet afterwards, I don't think, you know, they wouldn't publicly come out and defend. But he's speaking the truth, isn't he? He's telling the truth. Give us a ring on that,
Okay.
0344499.
If you agree or disagree, let's go straight into it then. Brian is in Whitley Bay.
Hi, Ash.
Hi, Brian.
Everybody. Yeah, I was just thinking about Syria because you mentioned it before. You know the Syrian war when it was going on back in 2011 when you had Assad's forces and the Alawites who were the Shiite minority when they threw out the Sunni Muslims.
Yes.
Well, obviously the war is now over, right? And obviously the new Syrian government out there now is obviously the Sunni minority who are back in charge in Syria. So a lot of people from Lebanon who are Sunni Muslims are going back to Syria. Why can't we now send all the Sunni Muslims from Britain back to Syria because they can go back and try and rebuild their own country
because we have a principle, Brian, that if you have ever come here to seek asylum, then even when the war's over, you stay forever and bring all your family over.
Yeah, but the thing is, most people who live in Lebanon, the Syrian Sunni Muslims, have all gone back, are going back to Syria right now.
Yeah, but the point I'm making is that the lefties in this country don't believe in the principle of returning home when the war's over. They believe that whenever there's a war, everybody from that country should move to Britain and stay forever.
And that is not what refugees should be. Refugees are meant to take refuge and go back like the Belgians in the First World War, that are like the Ukrainians. What's going on in Syria? No one's talking about the ethnic cleansing of the Druze and the Christians down south that's going on. The world always seems to turn a blind eye for that while Dave Lammy hands out money to the great new leader because he's wearing a suit now.
Yeah, it is crazy. I mean, we have to do something. We've got to get this thing sorted out. It's just becoming every single day. I put the telly on every single day. Hundreds of people are coming across the channel. It's just ridiculous, and this government's ridiculous.
So let me ask you this question, Brian: Why does it make you, and why does it make me, and why does it make Asher far right to simply turn round and say, look, if there's a war and Britain is the nearest safe country, then you can come to Britain. Fine. Now remember, what that would mean that Norway, Sweden, Denmark, Germany, France and Iceland would all have to be too dangerous for you to get to Britain. But obviously, if there was a war, say, in the Irish Republic, people could come over to the United Kingdom. But why is it that we are far right for saying that, OK, we accept your right to come to the United Kingdom if there is no safe country closer to you, but equally, we say that you should leave when the war is over and your country's become safe? Why does that make me an extremist?
It's a leftist communist. I think that's what they are. So, I mean, if I was a Syrian Sunni Muslim and I left the country and I went to France, right, I'd be grateful I was in France because obviously in Marseille there's a large Muslim community in Marseille. I'd be happy to stay there, and obviously let's
remember in I think 1998 or 1999 when the KLA fought the Yugoslav army in Kosovo, right? What happened there was we were talking about Kosovan refugees and there were examples, including the pop star Rita Ora, who instead of being sent to Albania was sent to the United Kingdom. Now, literally, Albanian Muslims are the people who are in Kosovo. Kosovo used to be a lump of Albania. And therefore, what we then said was, along with this principle of refugees, right, the people of Kosovo are Albanian. Albania wants to take them in. They speak Albanian. They're from the Albanian tribe. They have the same religion as the Albanians. Let's fly them to Birmingham. What was that all about? But now we've turbocharged that.
Yeah, it is totally madness. I mean, if you go to the nearest country for safety, I mean, obviously some of the people went up to, when they left Syria, they went to Jordan or somewhere else in that part of the world, but a lot of them went to Germany, didn't they? And Angela Merkel, good old Angela Merkel, let 1 million Sunni Muslims into Germany, and look what the problems have go over there.
Yeah, she regretted
The
that.
government in Germany are trying to deport them back.
Even
there,
Gazans
but
now may be coming here. I mean, you know, some of them, well, they've all been radicalised as children. You know, I mean, is it safe to bring them? I wouldn't have thought it would be.
Do you know, I won't be surprised if, the Foreign Secretary, David Lammy, brings everybody from Gaza here. Oh, bring everybody from
Hey, I'll tell you what.
Well, that's
I'll
not
tell you
gonna
what.
go any well, is it?
I was watching Visegrad 24 the other day, and they were saying why the Islamic call to prayer should be banned in Britain, and it's only plays in a few places. But I now strongly believe it should be banned. And I'll tell you why. Because obviously, you will know better than me. The Jews have that little wire round where you walk to the synagogue. The Christians have a bell that they ring. But the Islamic call to prayer is to shout around the streets, our religion is right and you're talking garbage, right?
And it's at all hours. I mean, I think Leicester, I saw some, and you know, it can be like 5, 6 in the morning.
So if you want to ring a bell or play a little tune to say that your mosque is open, then I'm willing to accept that. Not that keen on 5 in the morning, but
I like church bells.
To literally sing. What they are singing is Allah is the true and only God and Muhammad is his prophet. And basically it's saying we are right and you are wrong, and therefore, to play it into the houses of Christian people or non-Muslim people, I think is morally wrong. I think that the call to prayer should be a jingle or a noise or of something, but it shouldn't be. We shouldn't allow people to take to megaphones in London and Leicester to say our God's better than your God.
Yeah, the thing about Muslims, right, they come on the shows and all that, and they say, Allah, peace be him. Was it again? Allah,
peace be upon him.
Peace, yeah, yet they're fighting the Yazidi tribes in northern Iraq. They threw them out when the Islamic State was trying to take over. All the fractions of Islam, it's just constant.
Yeah, but here's the other side. Here's the other side of it, Brian. Here's the other side of it that I find difficult. How many times have we met quite lovely and genuine Muslim people? How many patriots are there for this country who are Muslim, right? And then I think to myself, well, OK, there's different interpretations of every religion, isn't there? There's slavery in the Bible. And I think to myself, I don't believe that my Muslim mates are secretly plotting to take over the country. So I'll tell you where I land. I land where I think they land, which is Britain has to remain a majority Christian British country. That's it.
Absolutely. I mean, I know a few Muslims who actually drink alcohol. I mean, they don't really...
Well, it's a free country, or at least it is at the moment.
There's a lot to do. I mean, there's a small percentage, but it's significant, and you don't get it in Christianity, do you? You don't get it in other religions.
Hey, I'll tell you what I did the other day.
Not much,
I've given up drinking mostly, but before I did, a couple of months ago, I went into a hotel in London and I ordered a Bengali Coke.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Which is vodka and Coke presented as if it's only a glass of cola.
Oh, yeah.
And the waiter knew what it was, a Bengali Coke. Because, of course, Bangladesh, they don't drink officially, but they're all moderates.
It's like in Israel, if you want a bit of pork, they call it a white steak.
A white steak?
Yeah, give us a white steak.
Give us a white steak. Yeah. All right, Brian.
Great show, guys. Keep it up.
Thanks, Brian. Way, man.
Robert is in Hertfordshire. Robert, you're on talk.
All right, boys.
All right.
The thing is, when I'm waiting, for my turn to come on...
I know. I used to do it.
What? You need a wee?
Changes about 4 times.
No. When I used to be a contributor on like the BBC and stuff, you'd be on the phone waiting, and you go, "I'm just going to say something completely different to what I was intending to say."
So what
Robert,
is it?
Robert, what were you intending? Because you get inspired by hearing people.
Have you been inspired?
Well, yeah, it was a bit heavy. I mean, to be honest with you, I think the migrant crisis, we obviously know, but it's a smokescreen. The real danger to this country is radical Islam and Marxism.
I've got to be honest with you, there are a lot of people who would sit here in this seat and say to you, look, at the end of the day, the Tipton Taliban were all born in Britain, right? Axel Rudikabana, born in Britain. All of these jihadis, if you looked at the front page of the paper, one of the guys that killed, what was his name, Alan Hennig, these guys... you know, all.
I don't know if he was actually born in Britain.
All born.
The Ringo one.
A lot of them were born in Britain.
Yeah.
And so actually, you know, when you're talking about Albanians, they're very moderate. We have allowed in this country radical Islam to take place. Asher gave a brilliant example. That blooming Abu Hamza, the Muslims kicked him out of his mosque because he was a nutter, so he shut the street so he could keep preaching hate.
Now he's in a Supermax prison.
I see him at Hyde Park. Yeah, I used to go down there, not to
I'll tell you what, Speaker's Corner at Hyde Park is a den of Islamic fundamentalist filth.
It's become,
it is now.
And now it's not really the free speech place, is it? You know, it's like there's a lot of violence there now.
Oh yeah, if you stand up and give a fulsome assessment of Mohammed's relationship with Aisha, you will be killed at Speaker's Corner. You will die for it.
The thing is, what I'd like to just quickly discuss is...
I mean, you probably won't be killed.
Islamophobia.
It's quite dangerous down there.
Well, yeah, but no one's been killed yet, have they? No one's been killed yet, have they? Although that young 17-year-old lad, I forget his name, but he gets attacked there all the time.
But my point is about that is not that your average Muslim is involved in violence. My point is that we're allowing these nutters to get away with it. The number of times when the decent, ordinary, hard-working guys in the mosque get kicked out by the radicals, and we do nothing to defend them.
Do they have a response? I know they kicked them out of, you know, in Finsbury and that, but are they doing enough? Do they need to do more?
Yeah, well, when they try to do anything, we don't give them any support, in reality. Sorry, Robert, you were saying?
Yeah, but, you know, this about they want to bring in a blasphemy law into this country, which I think there's a good chance of. But if I don't believe in it, how can I be charged with blasphemy if I don't believe in your religion? I should be able to say what I want about Mohammed. I should be able to say whatever I want. So if I don't believe in that particular...
See what I think...
How can I be blasphemous?
Robert, what I think is... look, I don't know a great deal about Muhammad. I don't know... I mean, I've read the Quran in bits and pieces. But my view, honestly, is that most people are fundamentally decent. But what we have to remember is that this is a place for British people, and it should reflect British culture. We should speak the British language, which is principally English, although not exclusively. And we should say, look, you know, if you want to worship like the Middle East, go to the Middle East.
Yeah, but, you know, the thing that really riles me as well is when people say, well, not all Muslims are like that. No, but they benefit from it. If there's a two-tier justice system, then the ordinary Muslims will still benefit from it.
Well, no, there's been Robert, I'm going to pull you up on this because I think there's been a huge disbenefit of the two-tier justice system, and it's this. When police in places like Oldham and Rotherham allowed Pakistani Muslim sex offenders to get away with it because they were Pakistani Muslims, what they did at the same time was they smeared every single Pakistani Muslim man in the country with being a sex offender. And I genuinely believe that because these gangs went on for so many years, there are now hundreds of thousands of victims, it gives the impression that every Muslim in the country is a pervert, and that has badly smeared them. And I think actually, in many respects, they are massive victims of this scandal.
Well, yeah, no, I've never believed that. I mean, I've never, as much as I was horrified by the crimes, I've never ever believed that every Muslim in the country was a nonce.
But it's precisely the same, by the way, as what happened to Catholic priests, because the Catholic Church refused completely to do anything about those sex offenders within their ranks. Now, literally, everybody makes jokes about all Catholic priests being paedophiles, which is completely unfair.
Yeah, but it's interesting that you might have Islamophobia, but you never have Catholicophobia or Christianophobia.
Fair amount of it in Northern Ireland.
That's because the MPs are worried about losing their seats. It's all political. I mean, you know, there's, I think Jess, what's her name? Jess Phillips. She's only 600 votes, won by Angela Rayner. Could quite easily lose her seat, so they're kowtowing to this sectarian voting.
I'm sorry. Jess Phillips was not complaining about Muslim men shouting abuse.
Yeah.
That was misogyny.
Yeah, unbelievable.
I mean, literally, they were shouting Allah Akbar, and she said it was misogyny. Yeah. All right, Robert, you've had your time. We're going to be back in a couple of moments just with Ken in London.
across the UK. On DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
We've got a little bit of breaking news tonight from Kemi Badenoch's own constituency. As you know, UK by-elections, well, all elections take place on Thursdays, so there's always local government by-elections where the results come out at approximately this time on a Friday morning. And just to let you know that we don't have the full results, but there was a local government by-election in Dunmow, which is in Essex. The previous result was that the Conservatives got 51% of the vote and that Reform didn't stand, and Reform have won the seat. The new councillor is a chap called Simon
Denham. I think we've had him on. He just rings a bell in his face, so I'm not sure.
Yeah.
But, you know, this just goes to show why they gerrymandered the elections, you know, a few months ago, and it's still not working, is it, for them? So, yeah, big scalp for the Reform.
So it'd be interesting to see exactly how much Reform have won by in Kemi Badenoch's own constituency. Yeah. But I have to say to you, I don't know Dunmow. If you do, then fair enough. Please get in touch, 0344 499 1000. But to have had 51% of the vote over a resident rather than another political party, with basically Labour receiving quite almost a derisory sum. That is pretty bad for the Conservatives. Ken is in London. Ken, you're on Talk.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Morning.
Just imagine that this is just a thought for the day.
Ken's thought
just
for the
imagine
day.
there were 57 Jewish nations on earth, and during the years of the Holocaust, that was the 1940s, not one of these 57 Jewish states offered to help Israel and take in their refugees during the time of the Holocaust. Mm-hmm. What would we think of these 57?
We would think that they had serious reservations about the people of Israel.
Right. Now, today, according to the Google list, there are 57 Muslim countries throughout the earth. And they all claim to love and be concerned about their fellow Muslims in the Gaza. They all claim to be very concerned about the deaths of the Arab Palestinians, big uprisings. Yet not one of these 57 Muslim nations have offered to take one Palestinian refugee.
Yeah, but they've been told. I mean, normally the UN wants people with the refugees, the kids and the women, to be taken out, you know, and... but it's different with this war. They're actually threatening countries, do not take them. They want to leave them in because, of course, the UN are sort of working hand in hand with Hamas.
Is the reason, Ken, is the reason that Islamic nations know that there are a percentage of their religion, their brothers and sisters, who are out-and-out extremists, and they know many of them reside in Gaza?
That's partly the situation, Andre, but there's more to it than that. When you look at Egypt has got a 12-kilometre long border with Gaza, 7.5 miles long. And it's a wall, it's totally barbed wire. The wall is there for a purpose, to keep the Palestinians out.
Yeah, and with your point, Andre, they could take the women and children. They're not going to be a threat, but obviously they're not doing that. They'd rather, you know, that it gets in the media that, you know, children and women, they like to keep them in the war zone.
Yeah, but the reason is this. The truth is this, if we think about it seriously. The truth why they're refused into these nations is because they are not really concerned about the people of Palestine, the men, women and children. The war in Gaza against Israel is not to save the children. They are fighting to destroy Israel. That's why they don't want them in.
See, I hadn't realised this. But apparently the Hamas Charter, I think you've mentioned it, and it's kind of washed over me. The Hamas Charter doesn't say we want to get rid of Israel and have a peaceful settlement. It says we will what is it? The deliverance to Allah will only come when every Jew is dead.
And this basically comes from the Holocaust, where the Grand Mufti agreed with Hitler that he will do the final solution in the Middle East. And that's Mahmoud Abbas's hero, the Grand Mufti. I mean, they do want to wipe out the Jews. That's the catastrophe, is that Jews are what they say is Muslim land. It's not, I mean, if all the people in Israel converted to Islam, they'd be fine with it. So it's nothing about the land, actually. It's about, that just proves it's about them.
destruction of Israel. That's what it's not about.
But what about us in Britain, Ken? So if a Nigerian Christian wants to come to the UK, we don't give a toss. Whereas if a Pakistani Muslim wants to come, then they get the red carpet.
Well, it's outrageous. But here's a thought for you. Right now, the recruits are flooding into this nation for Islam. All these men who are coming here, they're young, fighting age men, fit. None of them starving to death. They're fit as fiddle. They're coming here to recruit what's coming in the future. They've got plans that Islam historically, when they move into a nation, Islam, they move in small numbers. And they keep peaceful. As they grow larger in numbers, then they begin to cry out for Sharia law here, etc., etc. Then the stronger they get, then they become violent.
I was reading, Ken, about how terrorist organisations act when they come into countries and how they begin to take over. And one of the weapons that they like to use is the rape of the local population, which we have seen in the UK.
Well, it's very sad to see what's happening in the country. The Christians really need to stand up together and unite as one.
Do you believe, by the way, that is happening? Because I've seen interviews with various people who say that people are much more motivated. This year at Easter, more people went to Christian services than had been in decades.
I read that as well, and that's a good sign, Andre. But sadly, this country, Starmer actually, as I've said this before a number of times, Starmer has surrendered to the ideology of Islam and the ideology of LGBT queer. He's surrendered to their desires. This man Starmer, he's going to prove, in my opinion, possibly the most dangerous Prime Minister we've ever had.
I think he's already proven that. I think he already is.
There's worse to come, Ash. There's worse. He's got 3 more years.
4, isn't it? Nearly 4.
Yeah, it is. He's only been in a year. Can you believe that?
Look at the damage that's been done.
It's unbelievable.
I mean, it's bad enough anyway.
Well, all I can say is to all the people who are listening here who support these Palestinian, the Hamas march, remember the next time you go out in the march, you folks who are listening and watching Ash and Andre, remember this: not one of the 57 nations of Muslim nation, not one of the 57 Muslim nations is willing to take any refugees from Palestine. So when you go on your march, why don't you call out for the Muslim nations to take?
But isn't that march? So I take your point, Ken. But isn't that march to say that the number one issue in Britain should be an Islamic issue? Because actually, I don't much care about the situation in Gaza. I have a general interest in the same way I have an interest in the Uyghur Muslims or perhaps in what goes on in Nigeria. But it's the fact that because we now have a Muslim population in Britain, we are required to care about Muslim issues. Remember when they said that Armistice Sunday should be cancelled, that church service should be stopped, and the walking past the cenotaph should not happen. Instead, we should be talking about Gaza. That's because our history doesn't matter. What matters to the new population is the issues that they've brought from their own countries of origin.
You know, just a day ago, 2 days ago, I was watching the BBC News, and the United Nations conference was on about Israel and Gaza, and they allowed the Palestinian man to speak for a good number of minutes. Totally, they published it, the man speaking to support the Palestinian cause. Then when it came to the reply from Israel, they allowed the man to speak for about a minute. Then they cut them off. Cut them off. That's total anti-Semitism.
Oh yeah, the UN is well known for that.
The face of everyone.
The UN is a mistake. There's no doubt about it.
I mean, if you look in Iran, the left and the Islamists combined to overthrow the Shah, and once they'd done it, the Islamists murdered all the left. So that's what that they should learn from that.
The useful idiots. Ken, thank you so much. I understand you're going to send me some videos. Thank you so much. You've been supplied with my details. And
Betamax, please.
We're going to be back with Paul just in a couple of minutes.
across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
Okay, let's go straight to the phones. Paul is... Oh, sorry, I'll tell you what, before we do that, 03444991000, we've got 3 slots, but straight to calls. Paul is in Hartlepool.
Hello, Andre. You all right?
I'm good.
Yeah, hey, what I want to say is these honour killings, right?
Yes.
When people are commentating on them and they're putting the news out, they should never ever call them honour killings. They should call them coward killings.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah, but have you noticed there's not been any news apart from there's like been loads of them? We don't hear the stories in the last few years. There's obviously been a cover-up on it, hasn't there?
Like they've stopped.
Yeah, but they haven't.
It should be pushed out all the time that the coward killings, right? And if they call them coward killings instead
Well,
of...
they're murders. They're not killing. You know what I mean? They're murders.
Well, that's it. Or coward murders, but they always call them killings, don't they? But
yeah,
I just think that we should use our language, the British language.
Yeah, murder.
It's a coward thing to do, to kill a woman for no reason whatsoever. Total coward. And it needs to be said every time there's something it happens.
But they don't report it, do they? They just don't report it.
And they should. If I had my own way, I'd get them lashed.
But we live in a country that believes that the way to address the problems that have come up through uncontrolled immigration is to pretend those problems have not happened and hope that they go away naturally.
Yeah, that's it. But Starmer, he's just a totally weak, weak prime minister. He's getting his strings pulled. He's a puppet on a string, basically.
He doesn't really have any views himself, does he? It seems.
Well, he's for me, I think he's just as thick as a van door.
Yeah.
No, I think he just lives in a world that just doesn't exist for most people. I mean, when his wife, Lady Victoria, was going on about the fact that that there shouldn't be selective education, they live in a street where the catchment area for the primary school, every house it was worth an average of £10 million. Therefore, they are going, with an unselective education system, they're going to go to the nice schools and whatever. And all of their friends, they make a fortune off all of these refugees and all of this human rights law. They don't have to deal with the problems. They're not sending their children and grandchildren to a school where 40% of the kids can't speak English. That's not happening to them.
And it was a social mobility of the grammar schools. I mean, they're totally doing the opposite of what they should be doing. I went to a state grammar, and a couple of working class kids, one of them was son of a bus driver, became a Tory MP in Walsall, another one nearly ran for mayor, was Erdington MP, and there was a lot of social mobility in the 80s and 70s, obviously John Major, Thatcher, and that's all gone out the window. And you'd think that the Labour Party, as they should be in for selective education.
It affects our kids as well, because our kids are in schools and colleges, right? And they're having to help these people that can't do the language.
Yes.
So they're helping them doing their work for them.
It slows it all down, yeah.
It's just, it's just bad. But honestly, that bit about the coward, it should be brought up. It should be called a coward killing. Say it how it is.
Well, look, all you do is, which is Keir Starmer was right on, when you have a particular problem, you just speed up the justice and you tell the judges to be to give them a more harsh sentence. As far as I'm concerned, female genital mutilation, mutty magic, honour killing, kidnap of children for child marriage, death penalty. Yeah. I don't care. Fine, death penalty. I've called for it for so many things now. I've run out of ideas.
Well, it works.
Definitely deportation. It doesn't matter how long they've been there. I'd get them out of the country.
Well, if you believe in mutty magic and female genital mutilation, then you're of no value to society anyway.
No, exactly.
Okay, Paul, thank you so much. Let's go to James in London. James, you're on Talk.
Yeah, hi, Andre. Hiya.
All right,
How are
James.
you doing? Great show today, and may I just say, it'd be great to hear if we had James on the phone.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. Hang on a second. Oh, no, sorry. The Weekly Whale is tomorrow night. So every Friday from now on, at 11 o'clock, we're going to have James Whale on from the back catalogue. Just a matter of interest, James, and we don't want to continually go on about this because obviously things do need to move on. James wouldn't want us to wallow. What was your favourite ever James Whale moment?
My favourite ever, and I'm sure Ash can remember this. Me and James were talking about Donald Trump, and he cut me off. Before he cut me off, I did a swear word, and Ash heard me. But I must say, James was a legend.
I'll still love. Don't insult my heart. My heart.
He could bring you on like he's your best mate. He mentioned I was from Wales. Next thing, he went like a fucking demented dog.
So you've sworn again. Well done. There we go.
Right, he went like a demented dog. But what I'm ringing up for, Ash, is... Right, I'm ringing up for this. It's simple as this. Our biggest enemy is not the Russians. It's our friends 24 miles across the sea from us, the French, who have done nothing but destroy our country economically, socially, and security-wise. They are not our friends. Our king is nothing but a traitor. The fat-fingered fool needs to go and abdicate because there is a border between us and France, and I'm sick and tired. France is our biggest enemy, and they need to be punished. We need to start withdrawing fishing licenses and punishing them.
Yeah, but what do you think of this, Joe? I was thinking this today. You know, if the Queen was still around, Queen Elizabeth II, I mean, what would she... I know she used to stay out of politics, but would she have, if the country was like in this state? Would it have
I think she'd have had a moan in private.
Yeah, and I don't think... I think she... You know, there is
I will tell you...
Ash, I will believe you right now because no way on God's earth would she have the Muslim call to prayer in Windsor Castle like that fool is. He is no defender of the faith. He is nothing but a traitor. He should be removed from the throne.
I have to say one thing.
Nothing but a disgrace.
I have to say one thing, James. That evidence of him being defender of the faith, he has actually, there's no doubt he has committed a dereliction of duty in that job. He has not stood up for the Church of England in any sense.
That's his job. I mean, he's the head of the Church of England. That's his number one job.
Ash, I will look. I'm a Jew as well, and I will just agree with you on many points of what you say on Gaza because it is absolutely correct, and I absolutely agree with everything that you say, Ash. And we have got a king that is too busy sucking up to Islam, and when we have an Easter message for the Christians in this country, and this traitor brings up Islam in Christianity, this man is a disgrace. He needs to abdicate, and the fool behind him needs to abdicate. The only one that needs to be a monarch in this country is the one that is called Princess Anne.
Yeah, she is. She is
not Harry and Meghan.
She is without
Queen
question the best. Mind you, I have to say, Queen Zara Phillips would be next.
But I agree. Anne is like a sort of carbon copy of the Queen, isn't she?
Anne is her mother's child, and she should be queen. We have got nothing but a traitor as a king. He makes me sick. He is not my king. God bless Israel.
Well, I've got to say to you, I know this is going to sound stupid, but I never think of Jewish people having Welsh accents.
Well, this is what I mean. This is what is called racism, see. I am a Jew, and my faith is to the Jewish faith, but I will stand by this country. I have fought for this country in the Gulf War, and I have been a peacekeeper in Rwanda and in Bosnia when the British flag, Ash. Right? Excellent. And I am British, but my faith is Jewish, and I am disgusted. And if we ever take one Gaza refugee into this country, I will be booking my flight, and I'm off to Tel Aviv.
Nice one.
And is that because you believe that we can either have a Jewish population in Britain, or we can have uncontrolled immigration from the Islamic world, but we can't have both?
We can't have both because, look, all I'm going to say, Andre, is right, because the increase in anti-Semitism is only because we bring barbarians from the third world who bring their culture with them. If you're trying to tell me somebody comes off a boat from Syria or Iraq and they want to drink Pimm's and they want to go and watch cricket, No, they bring their culture with them. I am disgusted with this nation. I am disgusted with my king. I am disgusted with my prime minister. How dare you?
Well, I've got to say to you, I mean, I'm almost going to clap at that because I think a lot of people have a large number of people are going to agree with you. But here we go. So Fern in Glasgow said that Welsh caller's spot on 100%. We need to boycott all French products and hurt the economy of France the way they have destroyed ours by sending those fighting age men that we financially support.
Remove their licences, Andre. Remove their fishing licences and start punishing those French absolute traitors.
But the thing is, we've got, like you say, we've got traitors in charge. The state is against the nation, and it has been for many decades. We've been saying the whole population, or a mass majority.
Look, Ash, I agree with you. We've got 700 Islamists in the Home Office. It's a disgrace. I am disgusted. I have fought for my country, and I have allowed my country to be taken over by Islamists, by a traitor king, a traitor prime minister, and a traitor home secretary.
Well, I've got to say, James, we're going to leave it at there. Go to the break, and Pat is next, because there is no more to say on that subject than what he's just delivered.
Across the UK, on DAB+, on your smart speaker, on your smart TV, and on your side. This is Talk.
I've got to say, I've just spotted this piece of breaking news that there are parliamentarians who are talking about calling Tony Blair to the bar of the House to give evidence on what he's been up to, meeting with Donald Trump. Oh, I'm well up for that. I'm well up for that. Well up for that.
By the way, I was just in Eastbourne last week, which is why I wasn't here, and I threw a chicken nugget into a flock of seagulls, and you can see it at Virtual Ash, at Andre J.P. Walker, he'll brutal. But it's like David Attenborough. I threw that nugget in. And those, I'll tell you what, they're dangerous, those seagulls. I saw a lot of attacks, so they're getting more feisty.
I meant to tell you about my incident with Purple Aki.
Yeah, go on. Oh, yeah.
So, Akinwale Arabiaki, I think his name is.
And who was this guy, by the way?
So he's the sex pest from the Northwest. So basically...
He was well known in your area.
He's an almost 7-foot bodybuilder who got into a lot of trouble by feeling up men's muscles, squeezing them, measuring them, and all this sort of thing. He also had a stalker's handbook. He ran after a kid. One kid jumped on a railway line and actually died as a result. So, in the days before the internet, kids in the northwest of England were all told that if you weren't careful coming home from school, Purple Aki would get you. Yeah. Right. So anyway, I will tell you, unfortunately, with my... there's so much more you can watch about this. There's BBC documentaries and all sorts. But let me tell you, he spotted me when I was 13 and he said to me that I should go to the gym because I was a bit too fat. So, unfortunately, the sex pest from the Northwest declined me, which is, I think, a depressing thought. Although, my younger brother said the 34 bus didn't used to go all the way to Leigh for a period of time and instead went to St Helens. And my dad was always late picking my younger brother up. So he used to leave him in St Helens bus station when he knew Purple Aki was likely to pounce. And my younger brother did get chatted to by Purple Aki when he was about 15, but managed to get away. But what's interesting about this guy is not that he spoke to one young man, it's that he spoke to thousands and thousands.
Was he arrested for all this stuff?
He went to prison multiple times. What he basically said was, I don't know how to say this without being crude. There was no evidence he'd become sexually aroused by any of these incidents, and therefore he kind of got away with it. But he was in now to prison his entire life. Anyway, Pat is in East Yorkshire. Pat, you're on talk.
In Gould. Pat!
Come on, Pat.
Pat!
Pat, two voices. Use your phone.
Pat!
Use your phone, Pat.
I'm waiting for somebody to ask to...
All right, Pat!
Yes.
Right, hold on, we're going to come to you. You're on. Hi, Pat. Hi, Pat in Gould.
Hello.
All right, how are you doing?
Hello?
Pat!
Pat, come on, turn your TV off, Pat. Come on, please.
Pat!
What?
You're on.
Right. Well, they're not on.
Pat!
What?
No, you're watching telly, aren't you? You're on now, though. You'll see yourself in... Pat, come on, you're on right...
I want to know what the ratio is between 18 to 30-year-old women and these men that are coming over.
So there are virtually, in terms of people who claimed asylum last year, 70% of them were men. The vast majority were young men. There were virtually no young women amongst the group.
No, but I mean, what about the ratio of white women, English women, Scottish women, Welsh women, Irish women?
Well, there are a lot more.
There were none of them on the dinghies.
There are a lot more British women than there are asylum seekers, sure.
What do you mean the ratio of what? Of being attacked?
Can you turn your TV off?
I've got somebody talking to me and I'm trying to talk to you.
The slight problem is you've got two things doing. This show has a 14...
Yes, I'm trying to talk to you.
But who's talking to you, Pat? Is someone there with you? Who's talking to you?
Right. I'd like to know what you think the ratio is between...
Is someone there talking to you, Pat?
No.
Well, you just said someone's there talking to you.
Yes, I'm speaking
Well, is
to
it
you.
yes or no? I mean...
I'm speaking
Who's there
to
talking to you?
18 to 30-year-old women.
That sounds like you.
Yeah.
You're agreeing with yourself.
Right, I don't know how much longer we can do this.
Oh, she's talking to the... She's joining in with her own call now.
English women.
She's responding to her own call.
Carry on.
Irish women. Welsh women. So what are they going to do when they want
She's agreeing with herself.
girlfriends? What are they going to do when they want wives and girlfriends?
OK, it's an excellent point, Pat.
I don't think she'd finished.
Right, just to remind you, I've said this 1,000 times. The show, what you're watching now, is 14 seconds ago, right? So that if anyone phones up and swears or is rude, then we get an opportunity to get rid of them. So if you phone us up and you leave your TV on, then what will happen is you will not talk to me, you will talk to something that happened 14 seconds ago.
But she enjoyed talking to herself.
She did talk to herself
She
for
had a
period
great
of time.
time. Heather in Girvan.
Hello, I like what Nigel Farage was saying in the conference because I watched it in full on my laptop today. And what he's pointing out is what I've been pointing out for a long time about this. We need to get rid of these migrant issues and the problem with the migrants. And this swift deportation measure is the quickest way about it, about coming out of the European Court of Human Rights.
But is 600,000 enough in his first term? That's what he was saying.
Yeah.
Well, shouldn't it be more than that?
By coming out the European Court of Human Rights.
Yeah, but shouldn't it be more than 600,000, Heather?
It should be, yeah. But this is a starting point that it's only talking about, and then by coming out with the European Court of Human Rights and UN Convention of Immigration and Refugee, and abolishing human rights. And that's the only way to do it, and that's the only way to stop these lawyers getting to these people and stopping it.
No, you're right. I mean, we can't get legal aid, but they seem to get unlimited legal aid.
Do you know what somebody suggested? Wouldn't it be a brilliant idea to just get rid of legal aid for anyone who comes to the country illegally? Boom.
Just let the charities handle it. Those charities love it. Why don't they just pay the bills?
Why can't they pay for it themselves if they can afford to pay to get on these dinghies? I'm sure they could afford them. Afford these lawyers.
Well, I'll tell you what I'd like to do. The reason I'd like to get rid of legal aid for people who come to the country illegally is because Starmer and his friends can no longer make a lot of money if there's no money to be made.
I say we need to abolish legal aid.
I think you're right, yeah. Thanks, Heather. Let's go to Cindy in Pigeon in Michigan, US of A. How to do with it?
Howdy doody to you.
How you doing?
Hey, I'm doing good. I wanted to say I think there's a war on Christianity going on.
Yes.
But when something happens, like something happened last night in America.
Oh, in Minnesota, that's terrible.
In Minnesota, there was a transgender who shot and killed 2 children in the school.
Well, we had, by the way, we had ITV, the independent television service, say that was a far-right thug.
Oh, well, that's not, because I watch, what is it called?
Well, I don't know what you watch.
Newsmax in the US.
That was your husband, was it?
Newsmax in the US of A, and they confirmed it's a transgender. This person even had their name legally changed. Blah blah blah.
They shot themselves, didn't they?
That I don't know.
I think they did.
I'm not sure.
But of course, what is depressing about this is that if this is proved to be a transgender person, and the US media, you're right, is reporting that it is, and if it is somebody who wishes to attack Middle America, and if it is somebody who hates Christianity, then this attack will be forgotten quickly in Britain.
Oh yeah, absolutely. But but look at this. If this were to have happened during a mosque session, I don't know the proper name to call it.
An Islamic prayer,
that would have quickly been called,
terrorism,
Islamophobia.
Yep.
Yes. And since it happened, this was while they were praying.
Yeah, that's right. It was in the church, wasn't it?
In the church. They weren't even in class. They were in the church. And that just brings me sorrow, and I'm in disbelief, because.
Well, I hope you know that the prayers. I hope you know that the prayers of sensible people in the United Kingdom are with the United States of America, as they always are in situations like this.
Yes, and likewise.
Do you think they should ban guns in the States, or do you think it's your right? I mean, if you do ban them, then only the bad guys will have them.
I think that it is your right, but I also think there should be stricter rules, though. As far as if and I'm going to say this, but if you're on medications that can make you a little bit loopy or have your hormones,
but those laws already exist there. They already exist there, don't they? But you can go to these certain markets.
We can take it further.
You can buy
gun shows.
Yeah.
Yes, you can buy in gun shows. Yeah.
You used to be able to buy Kalashnikovs in Walmart, or M16s, or M15s.
I'd love that.
AR-16s.
Yeah, absolutely. Walmart in your country is, I think, Asda.
Yeah, you won't get it in Asda.
Yeah, it's Asda. I've been there.
Yeah, you can't get them in Asdas.
Yeah.
The George ones are rubbish.
Yeah, Kalashnikov by George.
But you know, it's. I just think that there should be stronger, stricter rules. And as far as like, we have yet to see what's going to happen with all these people taking hormones. We have yet to see.
Yes, sorry, just to be clear, there is a suggestion that the amount of young people that have been put on medication just for being boisterous boys will cause a major mental health epidemic in the United States of America and may lead to more of these shootings. That is the suggestion that's being made, isn't it?
Yes, it is, and I'm one of those to make that suggestion myself because.
So explain in full what's happened. But at one point, 20% of all boys in the United States of America were on Ritalin. But explain more about what has happened.
Okay, well, when you're taking cross-gender hormones, you know, you got to think let's say you're a man and you want to become a woman. You already have that testosterone, and then you want to mix estrogen.
Oh, I see.
Now, or you, as you would say, estrogen. Yeah. Now, you mix that in the mix, you're going to get emotional. You're going to get, and already you watch these medication commercials, and they already are telling you what the possible. So just to be clear,
I've got a TV service in my house where I can watch programs from across the world, and what will happen is. In America, the adverts will be, ask your doctor for dracolonium. And then at the end of it, for legal reasons, it has to explain all the potential side effects of these drugs. And of course, when they're advertising hormone replacement, they do come up with quite a significant list of
But they do it in about 5 seconds, don't they? Really fast, so you can't really hear what they've said. Yeah. But also there was some antidepressants years ago drove people, you know, they found there was a link with suicide in these antidepressants. There are a lot of pharmaceuticals and obviously hormones. I know people that take steroids obviously can go a bit crazy.
And I don't want it to be true, but mark my words, we have yet to see.
Well, I have to say to
you, you and I, both of our countries,
the chemicals that course round our body to interfere with God or Mother Nature or whatever you want to call it, I think is an incredibly dangerous thing. And I have to say to you,
and then you take the detransitioners on top of that.
Yes.
That are going to be angry about why did you allow this to take place?
Well, yeah, people will be furious, won't they, when they think, well, look what you've done to me when I was a child and didn't have the right.
Look what you've done to me. Yeah. I'm not the same person I should have been.
Yeah.
I could have been. I would have been.
Well, I mean, they would be right in that respect, but taking it out on all of us in a violent act would be wrong.
You know, absolutely, 100%.